So, seen any good moves lately? Welcome back to Seeing a Good Moves Lately. We're in the hands of the podcasters now, or at least the Survivor fans, uh, these two specifically, because we are here and we're back with Survivor 50 coverage. I am Joey Oberding, and today I am joined by the person who, at this point, I guess I bring on for all of the first episodes, and that would be the stupendous Sunder. How are you doing, Sunder?
I'm doing great. Um, Excellent start to the season. The year's been going well. Happy to have Survivor back.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
it's been going good.
yeah. We were in a reality TV rut for a little bit, but I am glad to say, with every fiber of my being, I feel like we're really back. Survivor 50, it is here. It's a reality. To me, the craziest thing is we have a returnee season in the 2020s, not named Winners at War. So I'm like,
Or not named
like
season 45.
True, true. Coincidentally, those are the 2 best seasons of the 2020s, in my personal opinion. Um, but I mean, pretty good, pretty good. Speaking of pretty good, I mean, in my opinion, this episode was more than pretty good, but give me your immediate thoughts, Sunder.
It was honestly tad long, but otherwise good. Like the pacing could have been a little better. But I invited friends over. I had a viewing party. Um, Cracked open some wine, cracked open some pizza, had people over. I did kind of have to ambush them with the fact that it was going to be 3 hours long,
Mhm.
um, but which may make me a bad host. But they stayed the whole time
There you
and
go.
enjoyed it. And I will also intersperse their opinions to say, hey, the people I was watching with who'd never seen two of them.
Yeah,
One of them
please.
had only seen Survivor. Well, one of them was my awesome girlfriend Sophie, who
Mhm.
she has seen a decent amount of Survivor, especially now a lot of the new era. And then I had two other friends, one of whom has seen clips online
Nice.
and watched the show intermittently in the past,
Yeah.
but never frequently as an adult. And then
Okay.
another one who hadn't seen it at all.
Yeah.
And I was
That's
very
interesting.
excited. There was one player in particular I wanted to see his opinions on. And I'm very glad because he did end up enjoying the person I thought he would. I was like, you are either going to love or hate this guy. Um, and it
What
was
was it,
Coach.
coach?
He was Coach.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, it was a fun experience. Oh yeah, and then also my one roommate there. I made her watch 49 with me
Okay.
exclusively. That was the only season she'd ever seen. So all she knew was Riz God and Savannah. Um,
That's also an interesting perspective because, like,
yeah,
did
we
did she
have.
like that season? Did she like 49?
She fell asleep during the finale,
As many of
but
us mentally did, yeah.
she loved Riz God, hated Savannah.
Interesting. I mean, look, we did 2 podcasts together talking about 49, and I was kinda in the same boat for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be interested to see how her opinion changed and how my opinion changed when we get into some of the castaways. But before we can get into some of the castaways, Sunder, we just gotta talk about all this because I mean, we never got a chance to really talk about the Survivor 50 cast as is. And
Ooh.
so here's a picture of all of them. Um, I will say, in my opinion, the cast in the episode was a lot better than I even thought it was on paper. But what were
Yeah.
your thoughts?
No, I think people obviously had a lot of reservations about this cast. Um, I think they were reasonable. I
Yeah.
do also think there are no duds here. There's nobody here on this cast who has, like, obviously you've had people who come in for a moment or whatnot, or only given a couple moments, but
Mhm.
nobody seems to be like. I know people out there hate Devins. You can hate Devins all you want. I find him fun. There's nobody I hate here on this cast. Everyone is a well represented mix, and I understand if you're like, okay, it's too many new era.
Yeah.
There's already, I think it's a balance. You're seeing eras collect and combine and collide in ways that are amazing that we haven't seen and will never see probably again.
Yeah.
And the amount of new era contingent compared to some of these people is, while you would feel from a glance beforehand would be overwhelming, it doesn't.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. And it's also interesting because like, the Survivor fans will complain about anything. We know this. I'll complain about
Guilty.
anything.
Guilty.
Hot. Um, I will say this. I do think something I've realized, I think earlier today, just thinking about the cast, was I feel like people are analyzing the cast of 50 like there will never be another returnee season again. And that's something that I understand why, because it was like, 5 years since the last one and longer than that since the one that wasn't all winners. But I mean, at the same time, it's like I know that like you're mad that Jesse didn't get on the season or whatever. Jesse's gonna be back. Like, don't worry. Like, I'm okay if you have your qualms with, well, why isn't Jerry back or where's Sean Rector or whatever. That's fine. I get that. No problem. I would also say to that, expecting the cast to be made up of, T Bird and, Ethan and, Vesepia, that's just unrealistic. And it's, I wouldn't say that, it's a surprise to me that we got as few old era players as we did. But I would say that I'd be surprised if we saw like a Rupert and like Boston Rob and like some of the other people. Not like
Which,
anyone was
yeah,
like
yeah,
clamoring for those two, but you know what I
yeah.
mean.
Those two are ones we didn't need to see back. Obviously, there was some where it was like, okay, we would have loved to have some of these older players back.
Yeah.
Um, but also, I think this ties into like the voting of it all. Um, we have to remember that, like, at least with precedents and whatnot, with the voting, I'm gonna quickly jump to that and then come back. The
Please.
voting, dog, Twitter's just a fucking. If you're out there, I've been looking at the Survivor Twitter. Okay, I see it. I scroll through my feed. I understand you're mad. You didn't vote for the race, whatever. The people you know didn't vote for the race. You don't know if you're speaking for the whole world. You're not talking to every person who voted. I
Yeah.
understand you think it's rigged. It may not be. You don't know the voting, the reality TV voting habits of the median American voter. This
That's
isn't
what I'm
like,
saying.
like
Did
there's
you not learn if you're American from the last election? Like Twitter is not a microcosm of society. Like it's
Donna
not.
Kelsey probably voted for no rice. She she probably came back from Scotland and said, "No rice, please." Like, what are we doing here?
I also think like, to be honest, if I put my mind in the eyes of a Survivor median voter, I mean,
Yeah,
you and I were on this podcast like a year ago or whatever, if a
yeah.
year ago, talking about this exact thing. I don't know if it was specifically rice or no rice, but we were talking about some voting stuff. And I know we definitely did off the podcast.
Hmm.
Um, and I remember saying to you at the time, I kind of don't care, but I guess less rice would be more interesting. And I think I said the same thing about the supplies.
Yeah,
So that's kind of where I stand still. So I
yeah.
imagine other people felt the same way.
I mean, it's like, I don't know. You have all these people who complain about Survivor isn't the same as it used to be. It isn't as rough anymore. I wish these days where we'd see Riemann Bledsoe looking emaciated on the beach after the
Yeah,
30th day.
yeah,
And then you get offered the chance to vote and you're like, they should have more rice. Yes, yippee. It's like, what are we doing? What do you want? What are we do?
yeah.
Do you
And,
think like, because if you're
and
complaining about it not being brutal, they can do certain things, whatever. But like, what I understand that they are different things, but still, like, let's have some consistency here and just like instead of just hating the show, and let's find a coherent system to find points to enjoy and complain about.
yeah, and obviously there's a bit of Goomba fallacy to that, aka in non-Twitter language. Just like you hear different opinions from different people, and you mark them as like, oh, that's the other. That person doesn't share my opinion, so they're all the same. Obviously, different people feel different things. Whatever.
Hmm.
Like the vote I was surprised by, but then again wasn't surprised by, was I was like, man, everyone voted for dynamic advantages, the one that was the most extreme. But then I thought about it for 2 seconds and was like, yeah, that makes sense. If you're a casual, you'd want the option that's literally the most interesting, like
Not
guaranteed
to
to be the
mention
most
not to
interesting.
mention the way they phrased it on there of like,
Yeah.
would you like to have like the way they phrased it, obviously they're gonna phrase it in certain ways. They didn't say this was gonna be like the most optimal democratic process where they send out
Yeah.
a ballot to every person, or they only send it to like the meritocracy of Survivor fans who've watched every season back forth and back. They're not
Hmm.
sending you your mail-in vote.
Yeah.
They open it up, whatever. Who
Yeah.
knows? But back to this cast. I mean, obviously, yeah, there's some people that you can feel like we're missing here. But at the end of the day, there's no one here who like inherently um well, okay, let's take this back a moment.
Sure.
With every Legends or every All-Stars cast, there have been people who have been on there who've been who?
Yeah.
You know, you have your Sierra Don Thomases, you have your Amber Burkiches, you have these people
Kelly
who,
Wentworth's. Yeah.
yes, who you're like, why are they back? And you forget that while the title is All Stars, and maybe some people aren't All Stars immediately, everyone has a chance to cement that. And I understand we have a lot of people that we probably could have just made a legend season out of people who are already pre-established legends. But where is the fun in that? And what are we doing thinking that when in previous times past, you have casts like this, where it is
Yeah.
legends and people who already are and people who are about to become. And
Hmm.
then also thinking about, well, in previous seasons past, they do a slant towards newer returnees. They do that. So why are we expecting it to be older returnee heavy when we have previous patterns to look back on? This
Yeah.
is kind of what we should be expecting. And this is at that level of quality that I'm happy that we've got it.
Yeah, I would I mean, like I think about it like this, like a very similar theming in terms of like these are the best in terms of an all-star format is like Game Changers, the most recent non-winners of War Season. And it's like I don't know if people were saying that like Caleb Reynolds was a game changer or Hallie Ford was a
Yeah.
game changer, and I wouldn't say that they are to this day, but I mean, I also am like, well, I'm glad that we got some representation from the early 30s and game changers, you know. I
Yeah.
maybe I would have rather have been, blah 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 over blue blue blue, but whatever. Who cares,
Mhm. No, exactly.
Um, but yeah, no, I mean, we'll get to the specifics of the cast, who we like, who we don't like. I mean, who blah blah blah, who we had good expectations going in, whose expectations have shattered ours, all that
Mhm.
stuff. But I gotta say, the actual start of this episode was amazing. I
Yes.
mean, 27 minutes, no commercial breaks. And the way that they started off going back to season one and going all about like, let's take it back to the past and just going through Survivor history, playing the hits mostly, not even all the hits. They pulled out some obscure stuff there. Which is
There was some
awesome.
crazy stuff. Yeah. I remember who was it? Was like Lisi falling down in
Yes.
Fiji. Like
Yes.
you have these some scenes where you're like, wow, these are moments that like again where now you can. I mean, we can say here, someone online they see you online, they see the stuff we talk about. There are ball knowers out there. They don't hate you because they don't have Amanda Kimmel on the cast. They
So
respect us. There's a difference.
I rewatched this episode before this podcast, which is not something I always do for every podcast, for the record, but I
I'm
did.
normally the rewatcher.
But I did for this one because I was like, I always lock in when I watch the episodes, so it's not like I'm missing information for the record. But I was like, I need to go back and watch this intro again. And then I just kept watching and watching. And I made a Google Doc because this is what I do with my life. Of all the contestants that got like a sound bite or got like a lot of screen time for whatever reason. And there are some real random people here. Shouts out to my favorite non-contestant that managed to make the cut, which is of course Thunder D, Johnny Fairplay's buddy.
Oh
Uh,
yes,
Really, truly, one of the most iconic parts of Survivor history is Thunder D.
absolutely.
So shouts out to that. Lisi, yes, falling over in Survivor Fiji, which is such a great. Not like I mean, first of all, it's cool that Survivor Fiji got represented or whatever, but I'm glad at least he got represented that way as like, look at how stupid this person looks. And another similar situation is that of Will Sims from
Yes, yes.
Survivor Worlds Apart, who also got the exact same look at how embarrassing and terrible this guy is at Survivor when they have his dead fish dive thing in there. Um Another one that I loved, a contestant I love far, far more than either of those two, Eric Cardonia getting clotheslined by the clothesline in Survivor Samoa. I loved that they included that.
Uh,
Um, Survivor Samoa, I feel like that's a season I should rewatch soon. Other
that
than
that is the season I think that if they just had it re-edited would be one of the all-time greats.
there's
Galoo is a gold mine. We don't get them often, but when we get them, it's like beautiful.
yeah, there's I know this because I look for it like maybe once a year or so. There like 10 years ago was this guy who would just do fan edits of Survivor seasons using like some of the online only clips. And there's like an infamous one of Survivor Samoa where they cut down on Russell Hance's confessionals and give more to Galoo. And that he like added music in and stuff like that. And I try to find it and I reach out once in a while to see if I can find it, but it's not possible. And this guy did the same thing for like Heroes versus Villains, and I think Gabon and Redemption Island to cut down on the people who get all the confessionals. And it's like, even if I don't necessarily think Heroes versus Villains needs a re-edit, I would like to see it. I think it'd be interesting. It'd be a cool
Mhm,
way to rewatch a season of television. Um, but anyways, I like Survivor Samoa anyways, and I don't care who knows. Um,
mhm.
Back to a few seasons later, Survivor 50. The intro was awesome. Um, I love the cut from Jenna, like looking
Yes.
intense to
Oh my god.
her being on the barge, being on the boat. That was awesome. A whole lot of awesome Jenna content this episode. Um, I also liked in the intro how, in order to say, and cemented some iconic television phrases, they showed Jenna's torch getting snuffed out before Jeff said the tribe has spoken. Interesting. A little bit of foreshadowing, which I didn't think of at all. I saw that and I was like, huh, yeah, because Jenna's on the season. And I
I
wasn't like,
That's one
whoa.
of those that's actually one of those beautiful little things they can do with this season, is they can do that because Jenna is off the first season, where
Yeah.
she is one of the first, you know, what, 13 people, no, 14 people to get their torch snuffed ever,
Yep. Yep.
that you can just say, "Okay, we'll use that." And then they probably had that planned as the first shot of the season anyways.
Yep.
And then like that's the crazy part is they probably thought this is a great shot to have, and then it didn't become foreshadowing until she hovered out. Like obviously spoilers, you're here, it's spoilers.
Yeah.
Um,
Whatever. Yeah.
but yeah, like it's one of those things that didn't become foreshadowing that probably could have been already thought of until it became like foreshadowing, you know?
Yeah. No, for sure. And I mean that's what I love about Survivor editing is sometimes it just creates itself. Sometimes these long storylines just improve themselves naturally. Like South
Mhm.
Pacific. I mean, we'll get to the Aussie coach stuff. But I think South Pacific is already like my 10th or 11th favorite season. Like it's way up there. I think through this episode of 50 alone, it's probably gone up one or two places. Like just I mean, that's the beautiful thing about Survivor. It's great. I don't imagine any other show quite has that level of the narrative can constantly change how good it is based on time. Maybe the challenge, but I feel like that goes on so often enough it almost goes the other way around.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. But anyways, I mean this intro was awesome. And then Jeff gets everybody off the barge and he's like, I want your blood, I want your sweat, I want your tears, and in that moment, I was ready to walk through or run through 10 brick walls. Like I
Yeah.
was so ready. But yeah.
I did miss a little bit of that because that's when the pizza arrived. Um, but uh, then that ended up being a whole fiasco because it wasn't the pizza we ordered.
Oh my
But
god.
but I made the clutch move of taking it anyways.
There you go.
You
There you
grab it
go.
anyways, and you immediately open that seal. And then when they say come back, and then when they come back, you're like, "Oops, my bad."
Well, I mean that's a
It's
pizza expert
Domino's.
right there.
Don't get mad at me for thinking it's any sort of like mom and pop pizza place. It's Domino's. They can afford it.
Yeah, yeah, no. Domino's is great though. Shouts out. Um, yeah, shouts out Domino's, as we can all agree. Um, Shouts out to this intro. They go to everyone and they're like, "What are you thinking? What are you thinking? What are you thinking?" They get to Sari and she cries a little, and it's a very emotional moment. Devin says he didn't vote. He voted for no idols, which is pretty funny. Um, and they go around and around and around, and then eventually they do break our cast of 24 people into the three tribes. And I'll say this is a scenario in All Star season where I like three tribes. I know we're sick of it. I know we're sick of it. But if it were just two tribes and we had a vote that was as clear cut as Sari versus Jenna, like we did this episode, so many people would get very minimal edits. And it would be like, oh my God, we didn't see any of Emily this episode. Not like we saw a ton of Emily, anyways, but it would just be
Mhm.
the stakes would not be very interesting versus three tribes all have their own thing going on. There you go. So let's not waste any more time talking about who's it's or what's it's because I mean we had a good challenge, and then they separated each other out into the three tribes, and we can talk about what we thought about everyone, maybe their challenge performances, and generally what we think about them being on the season. Starting with the tribe that I would say was kind of the least of the three, just because reasons. And that would be the Vatu
Cello?
tribe,
Oh, Batu.
um, because they didn't go to tribal council. They did end up losing someone,
Mhm.
but we'll talk about that guy later because it was kind of a surprise at the end of the day. And we'll go back and forth.
Ooh.
Well, a surprise in the sense of like there were no signs that Kyle was going to get medevaced until over an hour into the show. You know what I mean?
Y-
Because he didn't
y-
get hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those things of like, yeah, like obviously like an hour in, and you're like, oh shit, and then like Jenna Lewis gets voted out, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, and then you look at, and then I look up at the clock, and I go, we have an hour left.
Yeah.
Oh no, we have an hour left.
Yeah. But
Um,
but this is to say that this tribe, there are a few people who did some very interesting things in this episode, and we'll get back to them. We'll get back to Kyle, and we'll get back to Q, and we'll get back to Colby. But there are also a lot of other people who were very minimal
mhm,
in comparison. So we'll talk
mhm.
about them first and sort of go through the motions. But starting with Stephanie, who is on this season. What do we think about Stephanie this episode?
Stephanie's shown an interesting amount here. Her immediately positioning to get with new era players is really cool.
Yeah,
Her playing that positionary role. Like again, this is what I was saying about actually this tribe is like the the truest example of what I said earlier about like the mix of the old and the new completely.
yeah,
Because this exactly is that tribe where that happens. That majority alliance basically forms the core four forms immediately of Stephanie, Colby, Genevieve, and Kyle. What a bundle! You tell me before
yeah.
the season that's going to be a bundle of four?
Crazy.
Wowie zowie! I'm not expecting it. And so to see that kind of happen immediately of her be like, yeah, I really like Kyle and Genevieve is like, okay, this is cool. Like obviously we didn't get much of like Stephanie's personality through the episode. But within the strategic maneuvering, I was excited to see that, to see the older players take the newer approach, something that historically we've seen them have a lot of trouble with,
Yeah.
unless you're like Jeff Varner in Cambodia. Um,
I.e., yeah, no
uh,
thanks.
but like aside from that, like it, you have this situation where older players are kind of looking to adopt the newer players' style, and I'm excited to see that from Stephanie.
Here's the thing that really surprised me about Stephanie this episode. I'll tell you one thing that really surprised me and one thing that didn't surprise me, but I liked all the same. Thing that surprised me, still a beast in challenges. I mean, the
Mhm,
last time we saw her, Heroes versus Villains, she got her shoulder popped out at the very first challenge, the very first instant, and after that, for the 2 episodes she was on, she kinda wasn't all that. And so I, and probably some other people, assumed that, okay, going into 50, it's been 15 years, she probably just won't have it anymore, and that's okay. She's still obviously athletic. I mean,
mhm,
look at her, she's still quite ripped indeed, but, but she's older now, as she told us. So
mhm.
I figured that she wasn't gonna kick it, but she went the fastest out of anybody off the gates in the challenge. And I was like, okay, Stephanie, all right. My bad. Sorry for doubting you. The thing that did not surprise me, but I liked all the same, is she had no idea who anyone was. Um,
Yeah.
which I think is kind of awesome, honestly, because I think it proves how pregame connections, even in this season, like, it is so it sounds like a much bigger deal than it is, I think, all the time, you know?
Yeah,
There are some people who are obviously gonna, like, link together, like, Emily and Christian, if they get together, they know each other, so, like, they're gonna be friends or whatever.
yeah.
I mean, I don't think but I think at the end of the day, like, it has a pretty minimal impact on the game. In fact, I would almost argue pre-gaming is probably as minimal as it's ever been, or at least certainly since compared to All Stars or Heroes versus Villains, where I think it was a lot higher. But that's just my personal opinion.
That is the one thing with, like, having a cast of this size and this, like, large of a pool to pick from, is that
Hmm.
hopefully that muddies the waters of pre-gaming, where you have someone spending 20 hours on the phone with Rob Sesternino instead of Charlie Davis and not
Yeah.
realizing they needed to do that instead. Um,
No, I think there's a point where, like, there's so much interconnection that it loops back around to not really mattering. Like
yeah.
I remember when Kyle and Genevieve linked up, it was, yeah, Genevieve said, "By the way, I haven't gotten to congratulate you on your win in person." Um, and I don't think that connection question mark, it was enough to warrant them working together versus Kyle, who I'm sure talked to Q at some point, or Q talked to
Yeah.
everyone else. So,
Like, the thing is that especially, like, a lot of these people, if they're not as connected into, like, going to events,
yeah,
and meeting the other players, your best connection with someone is online. You could really like texting someone and liking their Instagram post. The moment you're in person together and on an island together, everything can change in a heartbeat. Who
yeah,
you are fundamentally shifts the moment you are on that beach. And so, like, every bit of connection you can have can go out the damn window if someone is just really annoying to be around when they're grumpy and hungry.
yep, yep. And I think that's as simple as that. I'll be excited to watch Stephanie though as we make our way more into the season. I think that I don't know if the Genevieve, Colby, Stephanie trio is going to hold up now that Kyle's gone, but I'm sure the Colby Stephanie one will. So,
Well, we have other reasons to believe why that bundle won't hold up, but
yeah.
we'll get into that soon.
Hmm. All right, let's go to our next contestant who is known often as Aubrey, who's also on this season. What do we think about Aubrey this episode?
Again, very very toned down.
Yep.
I mean, not really there that much. I was surprised we didn't have any her and Q content really.
Yeah.
Um, but because I'm assuming that would have happened like first day, like
Yeah.
that's the thing to show. Because again, this season feels like partially Q with someone to cast it around, and to have someone there who has that sort of connection and she knows about that connection, like there was at least going to be a little bit of some sort of like brief spark you could have. But maybe they think that's just for the people who were sitting at home and have watched every bajillion season and remember exactly that moment.
Yeah.
But who knows? Either way, it was fun to have the Aubrey and Genevieve moment. That was a fun little bit there.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was a really interesting moment because it did kind of feel like it came out of nowhere, but at the same time, to me, it kind of made sense. Like, I think Genevieve and Aubrey are two sides of the same coin in the sense of being, like a strategic queen or whatever else.
Mhm.
The difference is, at least in my opinion, is that I love the fact that that Genevieve's on this season. I don't really care that Aubrey's on this season, to be honest. Now, I will say this, to be fair, I am biased. I've been an Aubrey hater since Cal Wrong, since I watched Cal Wrong. I didn't get why she was such a big deal then. I still don't. I think
Mhm.
more and more people are coming to my side as time progresses. But all I'm saying is, as soon as she was announced for the cast, I was like, she's got flop written all over her. I'm sorry, she does.
I
Um,
I think so. I think actually, funnily enough, compared to most of the cast, at least from a perspective of us, like she has the most to gain or lose here. If she puts up a really good showing and can do some fun stuff, she cements herself in some sort of in like the legend status. Whereas like she has, I don't know, I'd say a repertoire like maybe I'm smoking crack. If she can do
I,
something
I,
sick,
I, I, just,
she can get herself there.
I just want to say something really quick. You said if she does something fun. When has Aubrey ever done anything fun in her seasons?
She could. She could. She could. I'm not saying she will. I'm not
Yeah,
saying it's guaranteed. I don't even know if she has it in her.
yeah,
But if she does, like this already kind of was a fun moment. Her and Genevieve already having this moment of like, we are similar players of obviously different flavors of like same archetypes and being kind of the same person in each of our seasons. Um, it was a really cool moment to see them immediately butt heads and at least have like, hey, this is gonna have to be like a Cold War.
yeah,
And like that is one of the things I really appreciate if someone's willing to do is say, hey, look, like I hate like the best some of the best relationships in Survivor are come from these like rivalries where it's like on the same season. I know I only beat you if like I go against like two good players saying we have to have like proxy wars to get each other
yeah,
out
yeah,
and work around the insulation of the other player when they're both good players. And like this is going to probably be something we see from Aubrey and Genevieve this season. And I think it will create an interesting dynamic in this tribe. And so I think like they're in a bit both of their inabilities to put up a complete front that is enough to
yeah.
miss the other is great. Like that creates such a cool dynamic and a cool setting of the tone for this season where you have a lot of people who are like we can obviously contrast it with another tribe as well where at least someone says, hey, this person's my target and maybe switches up on that. This I don't feel will switch, and that is gonna be fun.
I think I agree with all of that. I think Aubrey wants the proxy war. I don't think she'll say that, but I think that like she wants
Mhm.
to sort of keep around dangerous players. And maybe Genevieve is the same way. I can't really speak to that. I will say this about Aubrey, and this is the reason to why I am not as positive on her in the season, and I'm not as keen on her strengths. Um, Aubrey is the last person on this cast to have played in a returnee season. She played in Edge of Extinction, um, and got voted out third, um,
Mhm.
or maybe fourth, third or fourth. I forget when Chris Underwood went out.
He was
Um,
third, she was fourth.
okay. Um, so Aubrey is just, I don't know, like she got beaten by,
She
I
was
think,
fifth.
yeah, yeah, fifth. Okay, because Rick Devens, of course. There you go. There you go. But it's like I don't know. I'm not as keen on her because like she got outplayed by Gavin and Victoria. Good players, but I mean like you're gonna take a step up when it comes to the Genevieves of the world, especially since they are also returning. Um,
That's bold words to be saying and posting on the internet. There are some Victoria shooters out there who will not
I
take
said they're
kindly.
good players. I said that. I just said that everyone on this season's returning. I'm a Gavin stan. I thought for a long time he should have won Edge of Extinction, and then I saw Chris Underwood on, funnily enough, the Challenge USA 2, and I was like, my bad. Chris deserved to win. My bad. You know what? Actually, my bad. Um,
Oh,
that being said, um, yeah, no, Aubrey, I'm not super keen on. She's honestly the person that I'm probably lowest on of anyone in the season. But whatever.
Hey, you need some white bread to make a sandwich.
That's true. that's that's very true. All right, let's move on to our next person, who is Genevieve. By the way, Genevieve, um, great Canadian representation, as I'm sure you can attest. Um, just phenomenal fits. It's crazy. You should not be able to pull off that peacoat twice on Survivor, but she does it with the most insane ease I've ever seen of anyone in my life. It's insane. Shouts out to Genevieve.
Actually, I will say that's one of the things I really appreciated was for some of these players, like the consistency in outfits.
Yeah,
Um, I
Emily too. Yeah.
I Q as well.
Hmm.
I think I don't know if Charlie. I feel like I saw him wearing a similar shirt. Maybe it was more green the first time around.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Um, but like the consistency in outfits, especially also like Rizzo and Savannah.
Hmm.
Um, and I feel for some reason I feel like Colby also wore that same shirt, but I might be smoking crack.
I know Ozzy wore his the
Yeah,
the green camo. Yeah.
like it's the same thing of like the bringing that back, having these players start. Some of them start in the same. Like I wish they did it for everybody, of like where the outfit you started your first season in. That would have been so cool, especially
Yeah.
for like season 50. But I also understand not doing that because I think everyone should have the opportunity to break free from the chains of what they were previously. But like it, it adds such an amazing feel.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. I totally agree with that. And I mean, credit to doing the same thing again. Genevieve, I feel like in 47 as well, she just kind of started the game and immediately had like a majority alliance. Or at
yeah.
least a really good alliance. And I feel like that if Genevieve plays 4 or 5 times, I feel like this will happen to her every single time. Regardless of if she wins or not. I
Mhm.
feel like she's got like I don't know, like Amanda Kimmel. If she was on the season, she would be in a majority alliance on day one. I just believe that. So
Yeah. I mean, it also helps with her association with Kyle. Like her and Kyle together as a strategic pairing, brilliant.
I
Like
know.
it's one of those things that like the season's probably better off of him going.
Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
maybe.
not to say it, but like they both seem so incredibly proficient at the game, especially Genevieve.
Yeah.
Um, and also the Bob is wonderful. We appreciate the Bob. Um,
Seriously. Between her and Camilla, big day for Bob's.
big day for Bob's. But is having that like really like I don't know. I have high hopes for Genevieve. She has I don't know. She's just got the sauce.
She's got
She
aura.
yeah
More
yeah
than anyone else on this cast, I think Genevieve has the most aura of anyone. Um,
yeah.
maybe Coach. But they're
No, I
they're
think
different
for
types
like
of
so
aura.
I think maybe Q or maybe Coach, but I think for them it's almost like sometimes it's almost too over the top. You
Yeah.
lose the nonchalance of aura.
Hmm.
She rides that line of the nonchalance where like the sauce is just perfectly there.
Hmm.
Um, I will say also, have you seen the clip of her online going rar? Um,
No, I have not, but
I'll have to find that and send that to you. That his I saw that one and immediately sent it to Sophie. I was like, you have to see this. This is amazing. She's like, I'm just so scary. Rar.
I see that in my mind and I smile. So I mean,
Exact. Hey, look again. She's got the aura.
she's got aura for sure. Yeah, no, Genevieve I think is guaranteed to make merge. Like I don't think anything could happen where she's going home because I think she's good in challenge. Well, yeah, I mean, there's always something, Survivor, but I think I think she's got too much aura. If she goes home, it's because people think she's too dangerous. I don't think it's because it's like Genevieve is the weak link in our tribe. You know what I mean? So
I cannot wait to talk about the tribe dynamics of Vatu because
yeah.
I
Um
it's so fucked.
yeah. All right, let's move on to our next person who is Rizzo. Rizgod baby.
Ah.
You thought you saw a lot of him. Well, he's back and there's gonna be even more Riz God shenanigans.
He
Um
didn't say RIZGOD this time around.
No, he didn't. I wonder if he just said it a lot, and the producers just didn't. They were like, "I don't feel like doing this again."
I I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, and that's maybe just because he's not as important yet that
yeah,
they'll save it for like him being that. Because at the end of the day, like, do you need to have an RICGOD moment in this when we just watched 40 and we have to reestablish who Colby and Jenna are? Like,
yeah. I will say something I was surprised about by Rizzo, in terms of how he's being presented. He's much more of a narrator this season than I expected him to be.
yeah,
Like he was, I think he's kind of the young buck representation where I think he and to some extent Charlie are the ones who are kind of being like, check out this older player. I mean, I'm here. I can't believe it that I'm here amongst all these legends. And I'm here with Colby and I'm here with Coach. And who doesn't love that? Um, the fan perspective. Um,
Rizzo's the only person who is 25 or under on this cast.
yeah,
That's also important to say. Like, Rizzo is not only is he the youngest person on this cast, he's a vehicle for all the new people watching and the younger voice of this cast. Because aside from that, there's him at 25, there's D at 28, and Charlie at 27. Everyone else is like 30 or leagues and miles beyond 30.
yeah,
This is an old ass cast, and so I can understand absolutely having a magnetic young personality as Rizzo, because like inherently he's already on the outside just
yeah.
because he's young.
No, I mean, talk about people who I think I understand why they're on the cast now when I maybe didn't before. Like Rizzo, I understand is like, okay, this is 49 representation. It makes sense. But also at the same time, in the back of my mind, I was like, I know Rizzo played a good game and he did that stuff with the idol, but like, is he really going to be interesting enough to justify him being on here? And I think he is. I mean, I think I've been convinced, if nothing else with the Colby storyline, I think it's like Rizzo is gonna Rizzo is gonna play a game that I don't think anyone's ever seen in the sense of he's gonna be the young person that older players take under their wing in a returnee season. I don't
That
think
doesn't.
that's
I don't think. Yeah, that doesn't happen.
because
Like,
because normally, like, if you have like a young threat who like people like, say JT in Heroes versus Villains or something like that,
yeah,
people who take them under their wing, like I don't know, Rupert kind of did, or maybe Colby to some extent, or whatever, however you want to interpret that, they
yeah.
still know the game that he played. They still know that, oh, JT won, or like this person's here for a reason. You know, they're not like they're not like, I don't know who this guy is. I think the closest example of that is Eric Reichenbach in Survivor Karamoan when he was taken under wing by Philip Shepard and given the infamous nickname the Quiet One. Uh, so shouts out to that. Survivor Karamoan, underrated season.
Oh,
Uh, um,
I'm getting
but
that tattooed on me. If Philip Shepard calls me the quiet one, I'm getting that straight on across the back. Uh, oh.
Anyways, so I think because of that, like that's enough intrigue for me to be like, all right, I want to see what's up with Rizzo. Cause I don't know how long this Colby Rizzo thing is gonna last. Maybe forever, maybe two more episodes if that, but I'm here for it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think Rizzo's like obviously he established himself in 49 as someone who was really going to say I'm going to play at any means necessary, but
yeah,
in a much different for lack of a better way of putting it, he's this season's Russell Hantz. Like Russell Hantz in Heroes vs. Villains, he is this to
yeah,
49 and 50 in the way that like he's someone they haven't seen. He's someone who's going to play like they have won before, or maybe not actually have won before, but like he's playing with house money and he had played with house money before
yeah,
and is really just going to go balls to the walls. That being said, he's a great guy. There's the key difference. He's a fun person to be around,
yep,
and he's fun to be around, and he's fun to watch. And so
yeah.
I think, and also he isn't really an asshole points. He can be like obviously go a little far with the showboating, but like at the end of the day,
He's just an orc player.
yeah, he he really is. And I think he's got I don't know. I think he's got a lot to show here. Um, and I think he really I think if anyone's going to not have trouble kind of really just being themselves on 50, it could be him. But I also don't think that's the case. I think like he's got enough of like they really said, okay, we think he can do some of the stuff he did on 49 of 50 again. Like he can just really just do it all, do all that he needs to, and do all that he wants to, because that's the fun part. He just started balling out.
Yeah. I mean, I do think, to be fair, I think that Sophie's, or not, sorry, not Sophie. I think Savannah's probably the closer Russell Hands comparison, shall we say? But
Yeah, but I
I,
think within
yeah,
terms of like playing with house money and like being willing to shake things up,
yeah,
I feel like, and I feel that more from Rizzo. Like obviously Savannah can do that, but Rizzo feels very much like it's like, okay, he's more likely to just be a complete like why he's like the opposite coin of Russell Hands, whereas like Savannah feels more of like a clone. Like
yeah.
he's the Joker to Russell Hands' Batman. It's the opposite. It's the opposite. But also, but still, the point stands.
Yeah. No, I totally got you. I think Rizzo is in an interesting spot for sure. I'll be interested to see how he goes. But let's go to our next person who is named Angelina. Angelina had an interesting episode, I'd say. But what did you think? What do you think about Angelina?
I don't remember shit all about her being there. I'm gonna be so honest. I did hear online there was a clip of her negotiating for a tarp.
Yep.
Um, I'm kind of glad that they didn't show that. I don't want to see her become like a Flanderization of herself. Um,
That's a great point. That's the thing about Angelina is like she goes on the season and is like, I'm a different person, by the way. I'm not gonna be stealing jackets. And then is immediately like, let's negotiate, Jeff. And I think that's the thing about Angelina that I think
she's
is
a
why
negotiator, not a thief. She's not going to try to steal jackets. She's going to try to negotiate them.
I think that's the thing about Angelina, which is I think why people, have called her like girl coach essentially. Which is as we saw with Coach this episode, is like complete hypocrisy. Just like immediately just like completely taking what you said and just doing the opposite of it. Like Angelina's like, I'm a different person. I'm not going to do kooky things anymore. And it's like, all right, we're back. Let me do what I did before. And then Coach did the same thing on his journey, which we will definitely talk about. Um, so that's kind of why I say it was an interesting episode for Angelina, because in terms of like strategically and things like that, we basically saw nothing. Her strategy, I feel like, came down to I'm not that type with Christian, I'm not that type with Mike White. But we didn't even see that really. I just kind of implied that probably. But you
Mhm.
know, we'll see really about her. Definitely one of the more under the radar ones. Her eyelash extensions are extremely noticeable. She looks like a completely different person. Um, just like it's crazy. So good for her, I guess. We'll see if she lasts long
Mhm.
enough to see them go away. Um, any other thoughts on Angelina or yeah.
No, I hope she has to. I hope she puts up a good game out there. But I'll say that for fucking everybody.
All right, let's move on to the Kalo tribe. We'll get back to the others later.
This was the tribe I thought you were going to talk about earlier for not mattering as much for the episode.
Yeah, honestly, I think I messed up the order. I think I messed up the order, and I just was kind of gonna go with it and hope nobody noticed. But whatever. I mean, I don't care that much. Um, anyways, interesting tribe on paper. This is the Jonathan tribe, so they'll never lose a challenge. So get used to seeing these people for a while.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm okay with that. I think. And let's start by talking to the
Well,
first
no, this
person.
isn't. When it comes to challenge strength, this isn't the Jonathan tribe anymore. I'm sorry. This is the Mike White tribe.
That is true, and my God, we'll get to his six pack. But first, we got to talk about Charlie, who I said this about Rizzo before, but I'll say it again. Definitely a narrator role, but he was a narrator role in 46, so that really isn't that surprising here. What did you think about Charlie?
I think this season we're getting Enlightened Charlie. We have him free from the shackles of having to be a, for lack of a better term, like a one note personality. Obviously, Charlie was more than that the first time around, but
Yeah, yeah,
he's like look, he had some moments where beyond swiftiness, he had flashes of saying, "Here's why I'm a real character and a real person, and you should care about me." You know, the moments of looking into the camera and whatnot. You're like, okay, this guy's got a little bit of sauce on his own, aside from the swifty of it all.
Yeah,
And this, I feel like, is a season where he doesn't feel, or at least like, obviously, I don't have any glimpses of that of him anymore.
yeah,
He is kind of he's matured, he's his own person. The game is, I'm not saying not serious, but like he went through some shit last time. And
yeah,
it's fun to see him in this environment again, and in a strategic, I mean, obviously, like he's going to be kind of a strategic manner, because that's just what he was in the first place. But like there's a lot that can happen to you between the time you are what 20, 26. He really played 46 when he was 26. He played this when he was 27. Okay, I thought
wow.
there'd be more of an age gap there. But well, it's because his birthday was December 22nd. Okay, that makes sense.
Whatever,
Just
whatever. Yeah,
either way, neither here nor there. I thought there'd be more of a gap. There isn't, but still, like he, at least in the photo, you look at the cast photos, two different guys. Like the first time around, you're like, oh, look at this baby faced little kid. This time around, you're like,
this is
that guy's
Punished Charlie.
that guy's almost 30.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is Punish Charlie. I feel like I know I'm excited. He feels like he means business. And like, yeah, I don't know. I keep looking at like his cast photo and I'm like, he looks like he's got nothing to lose.
I will say this about Charlie. I think in most situations, I would be like, I don't care that Charlie's here. But I think purely because of the way he lost, I'm
Yeah.
like, Charlie's got to be here. And I'll say this: I think that, like, for lack of a better term, you need a straight man. Um,
Yeah.
and he as much as many people online will disagree, he is a straight man in this situation where he's just like he will take coach's toe ring and be like, coach has got a toe ring, or he'll see Mike White's six pack and be like, Mike White has a six pack. You know, the audience to make a good television show, you need somebody who can do that.
Yeah.
So
Um,
I'm good with it. Yeah.
he's the audience self-insert. I will say also one thing is that like he probably got on that island and said, "Coach, we're allies, right?" And Coach said yes because they're him and Coach are both deep friends with Ben Katzman.
Yep.
So like I imagine Charlie to be one of those people who's like sneakily set up because he has like a third layer connection that's like kind of obvious, but it's like these two are like I'm day ones with you're like day one or whatever. It's like I can't imagine the cast immediately being like, okay, Charlie's got these crazy pregame connections, this crazy pregame connection to Coach. He needs to go, but I feel like he can just be like, we good, we good, okay. I don't need to worry about this connection anymore. I can just work everybody else.
Yeah, I think 3 people on this cast are, like are theoretically guaranteed to make the merge because they're normal enough. That would be Charlie,
Yeah.
definitely. I think Tiffany falls in that category. And I think
Mhm.
Kyle did fall in that category, and then they killed him. Um,
Kyle was a maybe though because Kyle was a winner.
That's true, but I mean, definitely the way that he hit the ground running, it was
Oh
like,
yeah,
okay, yeah, this guy's making it to the merge easy. But yeah, I think Charlie's like the most guaranteed merge player aside from maybe Jonathan. Um, Probably
Mhm.
Jonathan.
Jonathan could get sniped during a swap though.
Exactly, and I don't think Charlie would. I think
No.
Charlie would be like, we can take care of this guy later. You know,
Mhm.
he's just so trustworthy. You know, nobody's gonna look at Charlie, especially after 46, and be like, we can't trust this guy. This guy's gonna backstab us. Like you could say that about Genevieve. You can't say that about Charlie. So
Charlie's actually, I'll say a little more about him. Such an interesting player for this cast, an interesting player in general because we know already insane like grip and forearm strength, which is like to bring this back to a crazy thing I noticed. Rizzo, man's all legs. His legs are built like tree trunks, but his upper body not that built.
yeah,
This is my thing. The thing though is that Rizzo wasn't really a liability in the pre-merge.
yeah,
And what it comes down to is that lower body is really good in the pre-merge. Lower body is really good. Once it comes to the merge, though, upper body and balance. That's where it is. Upper body balance and proportional strength are where you get a lot of your individual mid wins in the merge. And so like Charlie's gonna be an absolute, I mean, as always, he was like an immunity beast on 46.
Yep.
I feel like he's not going to have that much trouble being problem like getting there and then winning it. I could see him getting like 7th place just because he accidentally wins like the first 3 challenges and then people go, we need to kill him.
Yeah. No, I will say, like, Charlie, I feel like I'm already liking him a lot more than I did on 46 because, like, to be honest, it's as simple as he's not shoving Taylor Swift references down my face. Like, I'm sure we'll get a few. I'm sure we'll get a few. We will not be completely immune. But if he woke up and was like, by the way, it's been like a year and change. I've grown a year. I'm really into Chapel Roan right now. I'd be like, all right, I'm here for this. All
Oh,
right.
what do
You
you think's
know?
the craziest artist he could switch to instead? I feel like him saying like, "Yeah, I'm the Ethel Kane guy now" is like one of those picks. It's like,
God, I mean, it has the thing is you can't go like indie. Like I'm not gonna, I feel like if Charlie says, "Yeah, I'm really into Magdalena Bay right now," I'd be like, "That's cool. I think that's cool," but that wouldn't be insane. I'd be like, "Yeah, this guy would be on Radio Music, right?" Um,
no,
but
but I think Magdalena Bay doesn't fit. I think Imogen Heap is like the same vibe, but would. Like that's like a crazy thing
mm,
of like, why would you say this on that? Like this is a crazy thing to pivot to. Just thinking the most absurd pivot like it could be.
yeah. Anyways, the answer is Tate McRae.
Don't say that. We don't fuck with her anymore.
Well, that's why I'm saying it'd be insane if he
Oh
was like,
shoot.
yeah, I'm selling my Taylor Swift stocks and I'm buying it all on the girl who sang Sports Car, you know?
Oh God.
Yeah.
Um,
So we'll see
yeah.
with Charlie. Good vibes right now. I like him. Good narrator.
I will
Moving
say one
on.
last thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course.
We talked about the white bread for the sandwich. He's the brioche bun at this point. He's still kind of a bread, but he's a little more upscale, and he still ties everything together. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You need something basic but a little upscale. He's upscaled, still basic, ties everything together, and absolutely tied his tribe together.
See, I was gonna disagree because I think, white bread or bread in general, like you can have better bread, but there's gonna be some bread on every season, every sandwich. I think Charlie is much more the mayonnaise, where some people will
Ooh.
really really appreciate Charlie being here. Some people maybe not so much. But one thing you can't deny, whether or not you like him or you hate him, definitely white. So that's my thought on Charlie. All right,
Oh,
moving on. Let's talk about Chrissy. Uh, what do we think about Chrissy?
I know. I'm immediately blanking and I feel so bad. But I also don't feel that bad because it's also kind of not my fault. The women were under edited this episode. We're just gonna shine a light on that and say
No, that's how it
love.
goes. Like
Yeah,
sorry, women, as I often say. But I mean, like the women were more under edited this episode. We're gonna talk about the women first. It's
yeah.
just what's gonna happen. So
And it's just one of those things of like, not to say I'm gonna have less to say. I'm excited to see Chrissy here. Chrissy also, uh, age wise, it is. I will say a little crazy. Like she's older than Stephanie. Like you
yeah,
don't think about it in that sort of like context, but like her and Sari are tied for 2 of the oldest people on this cat. Her,
yeah.
Sari, Mike White, they're all 54 together. Um, so like, I don't think she's gonna be as much of a fish out of water as she was. Like she's obviously not going to be put into that like mother role immediately. So I'm excited to see what she can do outside of the confines of like a motherly presence to a season. Because that obviously gives her a lot more leeway in what she can do, pull off, and feel comfortable doing in regards to like how the jury feels about her later.
I will say this about Chrissy. We really only got one conversation with her this episode, and it was one with Coach in the water. And it was a
Mm-hmm.
really fascinating conversation to me because I have not watched Heroes versus
Yeah.
Steelers versus Hustlers in quite a while. So I don't remember if this is how Chrissy always was, but oh my God, she is intense. If I was in a conversation with her, I would
Mm-hmm.
feel weird.
No.
Because
Yeah.
the way she was talking to Coach is like, "We're good, right? We're good. We're good. Like we're together, and we're doing this. And like you're cool if we get rid of so and so, right? I mean, like it's the right move to do. You agree with that, right?" And coach of all people, was like, haha, yeah. So the thing about Chrissy is she is on the tribe with Jonathan, so she'll be at least here a few more episodes. Assuming they win every
Hmm.
challenge. After a swap, though, I don't know. Um,
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I will say, at least with her, she kind of was like that. I completely forgot about the her and coach conversation until you brought it up now.
yeah,
I was like, oh shit, that happened. Not a great look for her.
no, no,
Um, like obviously like that sort of intensity kind of no sold by coach. So I'm not looking great for the champ here, but I hope she can I'm not to say recover, but like it doesn't feel good to say that like her relationship there. I hope that she can either rein it in or find the right person to do that with. But that is kind of a little bit of the Chrissy of it all.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like Chrissy was arguably one of the most under-edited people in this premiere. Um,
Mhm.
I remember her one confessional was something to the effect of, I know people are here for like the experience or whatnot, but I'm here for the strategy and I'm here to be intense. And you know who that reminded me of is, not to group all our mothers together, but it reminded me of Jenna Lewis basically doing the same thing.
Mhm.
Um, and I think one thing we can learn from our dearly departed Kyle is that building relationships is a way better way to get insulated at the start of the game than to just start speaking strategy immediately.
Yeah. As much as you'd like to skip by and say, okay, we already know each other. We already know each other's whole deals. I know who you, the coach, Dragon Slayer, are as a person.
Hmm.
Let's like let's work together. There's so much more to it than that. And like everyone is there to play hard.
Yeah,
The problem with the game is that even if everyone's there to play hard, unless you have to play the same way everyone else did to fit into the culture. If not everyone else is explicitly playing hard to
yeah,
everyone in the game, then you're gonna look really bad when you start doing that. And like you have to fit in still. And so managing fitting in the way that people talk to each other is going to be that important part. And if she stands out in that capacity, that's what gets her sent home. You hate to see it happen, but it might.
yeah. I wouldn't be too shocked, honestly. Um, all right, let's move on to our next person, who is Jonathan, the aforementioned. I like the part in the episode with Jonathan where they're talking about how cool it is to have Jonathan on your tribe. And someone asked him, I think it was Mike White asked him, "Are you a giant?" And he went, "B5 oh bum." Very funny. That's how Jonathan.
uh,
That's kind of the
yeah.
thing I forgot about Jonathan. Surprisingly fun character. Like, honestly,
Do,
fun
do you
character.
remember? Do you remember his gorilla run?
Oh, I do. I do. I forgot about that, but I do.
uh,
Yeah. Jonathan's
yeah.
fun. I appreciate him being on the season. At first, I was kind of like, okay, Jonathan's here, but I get it.
One thing about the watch party I had, I expected people to make comments on how yoked he was. No one did. I don't know if they're spending their time around like more muscular people. Um, if working at a bike repair shop makes you surrounded by like massive men, I'm I get hey fair play. No one made a comment on that, which is honestly reasonable.
Yeah.
Um, but at the end of the day, he's one of those people again seeking to evolve their game. Um, I'm excited to see what his looks like, or is he just going to evolve into being David Kinney?
I mean, look, here's the thing about Jonathan is like you can give him all the crap in the world for being like this is a strong guy who believes in the power of strong men. But I mean, he made it to Final Four in
Yeah,
42. So I mean, it's not like he's without strategic merit. Um I just think a lot of it was carried by Mike Turner in 42. Um
yeah. And the thing was that he was able to make himself be the ally of people who were good to be allies with.
yeah.
That's I think I mean, and that's also a very very underrated skill is
Yeah.
being allies with people who people want to be at, or like people who are good at the game. Um, and not being enough of a liability that they want to get you out. So I think at least for him, if he can do that again, that'll be pretty darn good for him, anyways.
Yeah.
But I fail to see a world in which his game evolves and he doesn't just become David from 48.
Yeah, but I mean, like, even if he is just David from 48 or whatever, I think there's merit to just having like a super impressively strong person on your returnee season. I mean, it
Yeah,
happens. Ozzy's on this cast. He was that for Micronesia. He was that
yeah.
for South
And
Pacific. I
so
guess you can argue
James,
that.
actually, James was also that for both of those.
James was also that. Joe, not the current Joe, but canceled Joe. He was that on
QAnon Joe.
two different seasons. So I mean, like,
Yeah,
this is a genre of person who is on this returnee cast, and Jonathan's really the only uber strong person. Joe is fit physically,
yeah,
current Joe, but future Joe, but he's really good in challenges, but he's not like, I feel like he's not going to carry a tribe the way Jonathan is. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
I think it is one of those things where like people were always again like we don't need him, we don't. But it was like one of those things of like you have to understand that like there has been literally no other time in the game in which one player has completed a challenge that no other player in the game could in the tribe phase.
Yeah.
That has not happened in a way that like the other tribes physically could not get that part of the tribe done. He single-handedly carried his tribe through um in a way that like inherently is monumental to
Yeah.
the fact that like you bring him back on. Look, he made Final Four. You bring him back on, and you say, "Look, you put one of the potentially great moments of the show, one of the great moments of challenge performance here, like pure display out there. Now you've got something. I mean, can you make yourself a legend?"
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why he's here, because he did something great once, and you know what? Now he does have the chance to evolve his game, and I would like to see again. Obviously, I said my words of negativity against him, but like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, sure is kind of the thing with Jonathan. But the one thing, the positive I have for him is much funnier than I remember. Funny guy.
Yeah,
So shouts out. All right, let's move on to our next little thing, which is Tiffany. Tiffany's here. We kind of mentioned her a little earlier, but
yeah.
Tiffany, what do we think?
She felt like she did a little bit of narrating as well.
I
Correct me
would
if
say
I'm wrong
so.
on that.
Yeah.
I feel like she's got looking at her tribe again, looking at her tribe again. I feel like she's got some of the sauce. I feel like she'll make it far, but I could also see a world where she's fading out because I feel like she has less of the explicit star power of other people. But
Yeah.
I think she could still do great stuff out here. Um, yeah,
I
no,
just think I think there's an inherent like positive quality to being an underrated player in a returnee season. Like you talked
mhm.
about Amber before, underrated, one. Kelly Wentworth, underrated, this close to winning. You know, go
Oh,
throughout history, even the lower end of things like Hallie Ford and Sierra Dawn Thomas still make it to the merch.
yeah.
Do pretty well for themselves.
You
So,
know what? I take everything back. She's from New Jersey. She's making the merch.
I mean, once she links up with Stephanie, I mean, her, those two, Colby, if he's still there, boom, running the
Like
game.
Survivor's gotta. I gotta see it. I'll look back in the past what seasons don't have someone from New Jersey on them, because I feel like that's people from New Jersey just overperform too much. We gotta stop casting people from New Jersey. Every
Yeah,
time Survivor casting, if you're watching this, listen to me. If you're gonna cast for someone from New Jersey, say, wait, we don't need that, and cast someone from Canada. I guarantee you, there's someone who's like coked out of their gourd in like I don't know, the like Newfoundland and Labrador, who's gonna say some things that like they're gonna send every person in Alabama into a conniption because it's gonna be beautiful because they're just not gonna be talking the same English.
yeah.
Get them on there. Do that
Get
instead of someone from New Jersey.
get a French Canadian on Survivor. Give me someone with a really thick accent.
Well, the one fun part is they have their own Survivor, so you're
That
not
is
getting
true.
well. Actually, no, you'd have to. You could get someone from New Brunswick. Oh, You still get an Acadian. Oh, that would. We need more people. We need someone from New Brunswick on here. Someone from the Canadian Maritimes on Survivor would fix me.
Yeah.
Anyways, Tiffany.
Anyways. No, I think Tiffany's in a good spot. I mean, look, if there's any player I'm not surprised was under-edited this episode, it's Tiffany.
Yeah.
I mean, Tiffany is going to have her moment of this is who I am, by the way. It's not happening now, it's gonna happen later.
It's gonna happen if she meets up with Q at the merger swap.
Yes, exactly. I think it's really only a matter of time. I think she'll probably stay a little under-edited for a while, but I mean, like, she is to be watched out for,
Mm-hmm.
being the most basically, bar none, the most question mark player of anyone on the cast. I think she'll be interesting to watch. Speaking
Yeah.
of interesting to watch, Camilla,
Yeah.
Canadian,
Yeah.
shouts out. What did we think about Camilla this episode?
God, I hate we keep bringing up women, and I keep feeling like a piece of shit for not
This
knowing what to
look,
say about
I
them.
warned this. This is on
Yeah.
me. Direct your
No,
comments
I
towards me.
I know I'm blaming it on the editors because it
Yeah.
felt like they had less entire moments where it was like completely locked in on them, and I like they had less moments through the episode. This is I'm shoving the blame onto them and not going to examine anything in myself at the minus. I'll notice things with them when I rewatch it later.
Yeah.
But first time around, I'm excited to see Camilla do what she does. Obviously, she is kind of already has a target on her because of the existence of Joe,
Yeah.
and Joe being like worried about that. But I hope, I really do hope she can pull some of that magic off again. She's a very very proficient player, and I think she's got a couple people on this tribe she could really work well with. Because like the thing with her and Kyle is that they're both very smart.
Oh yeah.
And like, not to say there's not many smart men on this tribe, but like, if you think about it, I mean, she could work with Charlie, but I can't imagine her like being lockstep with Coach or Joe.
No.
And Mike White's trying to play this season low and slow at the beginning, so
Yeah.
he's not an option either. So her options are Tiff, D, or Chrissy. So I'm excited to see what she can do with this because again, she's a very good player. So as with everyone, I hope she puts on a good show.
Yeah. I am confident that Camilla will put on a good show. Because and the next person we'll talk about is D. Sorry, women. But the reason why I'm confident she'll put on a good show is because Tiffany, D, and Camilla have formed this awesome trio. Maybe one of my favorite things in the episode is this trio coming together because it is a trio of people who want to be strategic, obviously smart, but want to have fun. And
Yes.
that's what I love. It reminds me of whatever it was, this like alliance that existed for like an episode in Survivor Second Chance, which was Abby Maria, Cass, and I think Sierra. Where it was like and maybe Kelly Wentworth.
That was the Witches Coven. That was the Witches Coven. Yes.
Yeah. And it was like, whoa. These girls are here to have fun and they are not taking anything and it's going to be crazy. And then the alliance was broken up like immediately. But
Yeah.
it was fun.
Hey,
but I think this has way more legs. Because I think all three of them are super smart. I love watching all three of them play. I'm kind of in love with all of them. That's an aside. And I think Camilla is one of those players who has both sides of the equation working for her. What I mean by that is like she is both someone who people know is super strategic and like is willing to cut whoever, but also has the reputation for being extremely loyal. And I think that both of those things will help her and neither of them will hurt her.
Here's hoping, but also that only matters as much as the part people tend to focus on.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how loyal you were if the part people remember is the fact that you betrayed someone. It doesn't matter whether or not that person wasn't in your like closest allies. What matters is that you hurt someone.
I know in the canon of like them on Survivor 50, like it's only been a few weeks since 48 ended, but I'm sitting here right now. It's been like a year. I don't remember who she betrayed. I don't
Yep.
remember who Camilla stabbed in the back, like
Yeah.
directly. I truly don't recall.
Hmm.
Um, was it Mitch? I don't know.
Fuck
I
if
don't
I know.
think so. I think Mitch knew he was gone. Uh, Shaheen? I don't know. I think that was more of a Kyle Joe thing. Who did
Who
Camilla
who
backstab?
knows?
I don't know.
I don't remember. Um, but at the end of the
Chrissy
day,
or not Chrissy? Chrissy? Was that it? No, that was
no,
49.
that was her name, Chrissy from 48. Yeah, but
I
I
don't know.
don't think she betrayed her.
I truly have no idea.
Yeah.
Regardless, yeah, I think Camilla's in a really good spot.
Hmm.
Someone who I also think is in a really good spot. I mentioned her before. Oh, that's not. I don't know. I guess D's later. My bad.
No, this is
Um,
D. This is
yeah,
D.
this is D.
D has a six
Um,
pack now.
yeah.
Um,
Um, Here's Mike White. Um, Mike White
yeah.
is here. Um,
Holy
God, he is
shit, man.
ripped. How do you think he got those abs? Be honest. You think it's
Uh,
hard work and dedication?
well, hard work, dedication, a personal trainer, and white loves money. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, it's
yeah,
like it's a beautiful combination of all of those. Um, like at the end of the day, his shit's built.
yeah,
I don't know exactly how he got there. But he's a rich guy. It's a lot easier to put on the more money you have and the less actual jobs you have to work.
yeah,
So you know what? Fair play on him. He's yoked now, and this is really funny. This is going to be one of those like bits people talk about for after the season. Like there are so many things that people talk about within like the pantheon of Survivor, like little funny things that are just like this exists within the conversation of that season, but doesn't stand out at a moment. You know,
yeah.
say your Tiki Man moments,
Sure.
and
Yeah,
the bits you run about players. He's made a bit we don't have to run or come up with. It's just going to be thinking of when you think about Survivor 50, you're going to think about that's the season with jacked Mike White. Like
that's
that's the
true.
you know
Look at this. Look at this picture again. You got Jonathan
holy
standing
shit.
next to Mike White. Jonathan literally his six pack is less defined than Mike White's.
Okay, to be fair, that is just because Jonathan is. I mean, obviously, like it's going to disappear less, but like at the end of the day, the more weight you're moving around, at a certain point, you're going to need the fat to protect it. That is just how it
Yeah,
works.
no,
Um,
I
but like,
agree, but
but
the fact that I can even
he is
say
getting.
that is
It is
crazy.
true that Jonathan Young is getting frame mugged by Mike White,
That's what I'm saying.
the White Lotus frat leader.
Mike White flies to Arizona for a
Yeah.
frame. I'm not gonna
No,
talk anymore.
he flies to Fiji to frame mug Jonathan Young.
Yeah, and
Exactly. No,
here we are.
and
Um,
now Jonathan Young is left jester maxing in front of the hoods.
that's very true. Um, Mike White in this game, I feel like he's kind of doing a similar thing intentionally, unintentionally that he did in David versus Goliath, where like the first episode, people were like, "You're Mike White. Whoa, you're way goofier than I thought you would be." And
Mhm.
that's just kind of where we're at, and we'll see how far it takes him.
I I think it's Mike White is in one of those weird positions where like he could have pretty reasonably won the season like David versus Goliath. He was
Yeah,
really close to the win and basically just stepped out of it because he was like, well, narratively, the other win's more interesting.
yeah.
Um,
I mean,
so
yeah, a lot of people
yeah,
say that
yeah.
he should have won. I don't personally agree with that, but
Mhm.
I mean, people will argue that he was as robbed as Charlie or something like
So
that. You know?
now you have this moment where a guy comes in almost having won and probably on like could have actually genuinely admits himself and other people say could have fought harder and potentially made that vote a lot closer.
Yeah,
He's back for a season where functionally he should be at about that winner status threat level, and his threat levels through the floor.
yeah,
Like
it's crazy.
it's so far down where he's just like at this point now where he's in a better prime position to to win given threat level that he should have, like threat level of like understanding what we know about him, or like he's a really good player. He should be talked about in the same capacity we talk about winners. Probably, maybe I'm
Yeah,
smoking crack and saying that, but like in the same way as like Sari is like she's talked about in the same way as like almost being a winner. Um, Mike White, we
Chrissy.
can talk
Yeah.
about that way, but people on the island aren't going to see him that way, and that's what matters.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think, because this came up a lot in the preseason press, do you think the fact that he's runs the White Lotus, do you think that matters? Do you think people are sucking up to him to try to get a spot on the show?
There might be a couple, but I think the people who know ball and like are good enough to get on or like have the sauce are just going to be like the best way to get it is to just be a good social player and just be like socially connected with him.
Yeah.
Like if you like if a Sari is like I want to be on the show, she's just gonna rizz him up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just gonna be in the capacity that like that only matters if Mike is like in the steering wheel of the season because of this. But I feel like people are gonna just like he's always gonna be like pretty close to people. He'll always be like if people are the ranked people by how close they were, he'll be like people like number 3. Everyone's gonna put effort in talking to him. He's not gonna be a first boot, but like yeah, I think he's one of those people guaranteed merge.
A guaranteed merge. Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but I mean, I think I think his threat level is so far down. You know what helps? You know what? It's the six pack. If he
It
didn't
is.
if he didn't have the six pack and was coming in as pretty thin Mike White from 37, I think people would be like, he's fun to have around, but in challenges though, kind of like how what Jenna was saying with Sarid this episode. But with a six pack, dog, you can't get on him. You can't get on him for
I think
that.
that's also that, and I think actually he's one of the few people who could put on more muscle and appear less threatening somehow. Because
Yeah,
it's just like it's one of those things where like you're like, this is really great. Like you don't
I'm pulling
process
together.
the fact that it is inherently like that should make him more dangerous. But because he is who he is and the absurdity of this occurring,
Yeah,
it's it's like what you think about in your head when you say it's like a cocaine bear, where you're like, that's really funny, a bear on cocaine. And then
yeah,
but then if you were to end up in the woods and be presented a bear with cocaine, you should understand this is a threat. But in your thoughts now, when you're just thinking about him, you're like, oh, yeah, the bear did cocaine.
yeah. It's like Charlie's confessional in the episode was. So I guess Mike White is ripped now, without and said that with like the care of like, damn. I guess they put a Funyun in my bag of potato chips. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm cool with it. You know,
Yeah.
um, I think that yeah, no, it's crazy. This is Ned Schneebly from School of Rock. Like, let's not forget who this guy is.
Oh.
This guy directed the Emoji Movie. This guy directed the Emoji Movie. And this is what he gets to do.
Yeah.
God,
Ah,
good for him.
hell yeah, man. Dude,
Honestly,
life is good sometimes.
yeah, just good for him. All right, moving on. That's D. Not Mike White. That is D.
I
Um,
do.
what do we think about D?
Um, we hate D. We don't like D. D is a bad person. We don't enjoy her. Sophie, please turn off the video for a second now.
Ah.
No, D's great. D is someone who's again we said earlier here to play. Um, great player. Again, kind of is one of the most dominant of the new era, but I feel like Kyle can almost contend her for that title. But
A
they're
lot
both
of people have been saying that over the past few days that Kyle's a better new era winner. For
I
sure.
don't say better Numera winner, but like when it turns to like comes to like terms of like dominance of game, it is kind of crazy. Like again, people made I don't know there were less explicit moves made against D that like functioned well. Like I think they're both in very similar situations.
Yeah.
But Kyle's ability to come on this season and like immediately be like, I've got 5 people. I've got a majority alliance of 5. Hold that. Like as much as you love to say like it like D obviously we hadn't seen that from her. But like damn, but I
Yeah.
still think like she's still got a lot of sauce and a lot to bring to this season.
Look,
And I think she's a good mix of like the strategic ability, the social ability, the challenge ability, and the drama that the people want.
I think, I think all the love towards Kyle that he's getting right now for how insane he played those first two whatever days, however many days, is so valid. I think saying, "Damn, he's the best winner of the new era now," is
That is too fair.
probably fair, to some extent, but I disagree with it because I think that's fundamentally ignoring how D has had a very similar arc so far.
Yeah,
She walked in, and sure, you can say, but Chrissy says that, she's a winner, so we need to get rid of her. I'm sure
Chrissy's
everybody's
close.
thought that about that, and
Also,
Chrissy's
Chrissy
coaching her.
looks like the way she was talking to Coach. Coach was no selling her.
Exactly. And I think D basically walked backwards into an alliance of 3,
Hmm.
which I think is strong. It's not a majority alliance per se, but they also, they
Hmm.
haven't had to think about tribal council yet. And I think Dee's also athletic enough so that they're not going to get rid of her for challenge strength. And I noticed in the episode just like how natural her charisma is. It's insane.
Hmm.
The thing that she does that I had forgotten about 45 is that she is really good at making people like playfully go along with what she's doing. I think about Austin in season 45. That was basically
Hmm.
the whole thing. But like she when coach to bring back the toe ring, when coach was like, I have a toe ring I've been wearing since 1988. D was immediately like, you have to try that on. Try that on right now. And like made
Hmm.
a whole big like group community thing out of it. And I think the thing that does something that Kyle hasn't done comparatively is it bonds people together and we are
Hmm.
friends and we're together and we've gone through these insane things together. Well, I think not like it's a worse thing, but it is a different side of the same coin. Kyle's was much more of like we're a family,
Hmm.
while Dee's is much more of like we're a family that has a lot of fun together. So
Yeah.
you know, make of that what you will. But my money's still on D being the best winner of the new era for sure.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, Kyle was playing with plumbers and electricians. D was playing with a Jeopardy champion. So I
I
mean,
D, D D was playing with a Jeopardy champion, 3 lawyers, and also plumbers and electricians.
yeah, yeah.
And
Uh,
Bruce. Yeah,
and Bruce, a returnee playing with the returnee.
true.
Can't say that about Kyle.
She's one of the few. She's the only new era player here with with returnee experience.
That's
She's
true.
played with a returnee before.
Also, not to be not mentioned, this is coming weeks after she was on the Challenge 41. Also, a season with returnees, much to consider. Um,
Will Yeah, it is Johnny Bananas just the same to her as Christian Hubicki is? We're yet to find out.
I think Johnny Bananas is the same as Austin was to her. uh, so make of that what you will. But no, I love D. I think that she's gonna do well. I know that we're supposed to hate her. I don't. I don't. My bad. Sorry, Sophie. Although you're not watching anymore, so I don't know why I said that.
No, 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 no.
Um,
She can turn this back on now. Turn the volume back up. Volume up.
okay. Let's move on to I think this is our last tribe. Yep, the Sela tribe. We are going to get back to some of the larger personalities here later, but there are a few people, despite this tribe going to tribal council, that were a little more under the radar than others. So let's start with the first person, Emily, who I think was, by all accounts, probably the most under the radar of the people on this tribe this episode. What do we think of
God,
Emily?
this is probably the more predictable when it comes to just like how do I put it, demographic wise what the majority alliances look like. If you told me there are what 2 players from the 30s, 3 players from the new era, right?
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3, and then
Ozzy is also
yeah,
there,
yeah,
right?
and then
Yeah.
Ozzy, Sophia, and Jenna. That it's going to be the 30s and the new era bonding together. That like that's a given.
Yeah.
The crazy part about this is that it's Christian, Rick Devens, Savannah, kinda,
Kinda, yeah.
Emily, and Joe Hunter.
Yeah.
That's
Crazy.
because like the moment like quote unquote episode two, like the actual second half of this episode starts. Jenna
Yeah.
goes home. People are talking on the beach about was that a good decision. Emily's sitting there on a bench deliberating right next to Joe. They're having a genuine Emily Flippin and Joe Hunter are having a genuine strategic conversation as if they are close allies. Huh?
Yeah,
She's done an amazing job here.
I will be happy to talk about Joe in just a minute, but to focus on Emily, I mean, I think I think going into 50, she was one of the people I was kind of pensive about because I was like, I saw her pregame press where she was like, the thing that I hated about my 45 experience is people assumed that I got nicer. Um, and so I
Yeah,
thought, okay, if you're bringing that like a start of 45 energy back to 50, like, I don't know about that. But I think honestly, I don't think Emily's gonna be able to escape her fate. Like, she's gonna be edited as being well-rounded and like a good player, regardless of whether she wants that or not. So
something I feel in my bones. I hope in my bones something's gonna happen. We're gonna see flashes of the old Emily Flippin because she wants to bring the old Emily Flippin back,
yeah,
and that's what I want to see. And while I want to see that, I want to see that balanced with the her she ended up being because that's more powerful than anything, right? Is that it's being a good player combined with being a firecracker. It's that
yeah,
combination of chaos and game savviness that can make you truly a great.
yeah. So no, I like Emily. I think I just think she's interesting. I think that people are more willing to work with her than I would expect. Not to say that that's like I wouldn't work with Emily because I also would, but like I
For
don't
the
know.
reputation she had, she's found an easier time getting into high value alliances that like control a tribe than like the reputation would immediately suggest, right? Of
Exactly.
her being like again almost a first boot. Um to being, like a
Could have
guaranteed
been a
lock
first
on this
boot
tribe. Yeah.
even. Yeah.
Yeah. To being partially in the driver's seat of that tribe, or at least within the minivan of power.
Mhm.
Um like, hey, good on her.
Good honor. Yeah. Um, so we'll see what goes on with Emily in the couple episodes going forward. But definitely the most underrated of these seven. There's Joe, who I think had a fascinating episode. But
Mhm.
I want to get your thoughts, Sunder, on Joe. What did you think?
Joe's really fun because Joe is the person most living in the shadow of a previous experience on this in this game. There is no
You
one
think so?
who is more shackled mentally to what they were than Joe was. And
Probably, yeah.
that's going to mean he's playing like he's in a corner. He's like, I'm going to get out of this. I need to not have this duo happen to me. He's gonna be like a rabid dog going after any sort of duo because he's like, that scares me.
Yeah.
Um, and he's scared of Kyle and Camilla. He's like, they gave me a wedgie on national television. You know, it's like
Now he's scared of
that.
Ozzy and Suri. Yeah.
That's the thing is that like I don't know. I feel like the one dimensionality can be a benefit here to what
Oh,
this can
yeah.
be because he's got himself into this position of like again he's in a good alliance and he's big strong guy. People like being around him. He's not going home because this tribe was meant to be the fucking disaster. He's gonna be safer than anything, being the person there with the most muscle by a large margin. Like if we pull up Sela here, I'm looking at it myself. Yeah, he's the muscle. He's the one real and true muscle this tribe has.
Yeah.
They're going down to like five people before the pre-merge is like over, and especially and maybe before a swap.
Yeah.
They're not gonna want to get. He's not going home. Congratulations on merge, Joe Hunter. Good shit. You deserve it.
Yeah, I should have put Joe in the list of contestants that I guaranteed to make merge. It just didn't pop to my mind. And I'll say this about Joe to further emphasize your point. Um, I think Joe is kind of the perfect person you want in a returnee season on your side. Um, because
Hmm.
because he is famously loyal to a fault. He's famously good in challenges, and he's famously kind of not that smart sometimes. He's
Yep.
not smart. He can talk strategy, but
He's less likely to outmaneuver you.
exactly. And he also has proven himself not to be great in a final tribal council. So overall, he's the perfect ally. If I had to pick anybody on this cast I want to align with, it would be Joe, without a doubt.
And you know what? Joe kind of was the exact same in the way that, like, before the season started, he said they did ally or enemy. Every person on the cast, he went ally, ally, ally.
Yep.
Camilla and Kyle, ally, 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 ally.
Yeah.
Like,
And
he's so agreeable that I think that the if we didn't have a precedent for him being willing to cut people on the outside, you'd almost be worried he'd have trouble with the fact that we have to vote people out in this game.
I know one thing I will say this about Joe too. Everybody, in these preseason interviews, at least the ones that I saw, are like, "This is how I'm gonna change my game." Ozzy's like, "For the first time, I'm gonna change my game. I'm gonna be different." You know,
Which he
um,
should. We can get that out later, though.
but there were two exceptions. One of them was Suri, who, yeah, this is her, I think, fifth time going out there, maybe sixth if you count Australian Survivor, right?
Mhm.
Um, so the Suri gameplay. It's just so good that it doesn't matter, right? And
Mhm.
then Joe, who was like, I think I was fine last time. It worked out for me. Why should I change it? You know, I love that.
It's so brilliant to have someone who got third say that.
But
That's
I mean, I think
He's
he's
not wrong.
right.
No,
I think he's
that's the
right.
fun part is
It's
that
like I think his
there's
floor is like Brad Culpepper in Game Changers.
yeah,
You know?
his floor is so high that, like, I genuinely think the only thing he has to change is minutia in FTC like management, in jury management.
Yeah.
Minutia and jury management, and I think he's like there.
I think he's there. I The problem with 48, I mean, was just that his biggest problem was really the person he was sitting next to had a better story than him, which is really saying something because Joe has a great story. And the other
Mhm,
person did too. Um, and Kyle had a secret alliance that he told the audience about, but not anyone else. Um,
mhm,
and Kyle had sort of the Marianne, like, oh, and one more thing sort of element, and Joe didn't have
mhm.
that. But I also don't think Joe would. So,
No,
um, and so I think, yeah, like if he could have won 48. I expected him to win 48. A lot of us did.
mhm.
And if he had won 48, I wouldn't have been like, man, Joe was a bad winner. I would have been like, he was insulated the whole time and no one could take a shot at him. And
Yep,
I think that's probably what's going to happen in 52. So, yeah.
mhm.
All right. Let's move on to our next person, Rick Devens.
To all the Rick Devens haters out there in the world,
Yes.
go
Talk
fuck
to him.
yourself. Go
Talk
fuck
to him.
yourself. It's that simple. It's that simple. I understand if you're like, look, he's he's a little annoying. He's having some damn fun and he's got some damn whimsy you wouldn't be able to touch with a fucking 10-foot pole. You could be up to just the world of whimsy and it would be so far away. You'd be so close. He's having a good time here and he's playing his butt off. Maybe he should be posting on Twitter less, but I think it's fun. Let him be a salty little man. Hey, don't you want the drama back? Don't you want that
Yeah.
old people hating each other after? That's what you asked for. And then Rick Devens comes and does it, and whoa, not him though. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. The monkey's paw is curling. We better get used to it, okay? Either
Um,
way, Rick Devens, fun as fucking this season. He's playing his butt off already.
it's been a while since I've consumed any Edge of Extinction content that wasn't Chris Underwood on the Challenge USA season 2. I forgot how awesome Rick Devens is because here's the thing, like I there's a guy in my newsroom who is a lot like Rick Devens. He is also a weather guy. He is beloved. He looks kind of similar. He doesn't have the southern accent, but other than that, it's pretty similar. And it's like Rick Devens is just like, what if you made a really energetic weathercaster a survivor player? but a good Survivor player. You know,
Yeah.
say what you will about Rick Devens, he did get voted out. I do remember that. But when he came back, he managed to insulate himself despite being seemingly an obvious target. And
Mhm.
this is essentially his third time playing. So he kind of knows what he's doing. And also has the factor of, hey, he almost won. And also has the factor of like he doesn't take himself so seriously that he's not going to have fun. In fact, I think he's probably having the most fun of anyone on this cast. So, you know,
I think more than everything, I know people dislike him for what reason or whatnot, and probably people can say this is why he's actually a bad player. Rick Devens is the blueprint of the new era.
kinda, yeah,
As a player, like putting him under a microscope and saying, let's take these aspects and take this. He is someone who likes to have fun. He's a bit nerdy. He's not to make any comments about him really, but like he's not what you would expect guy who almost wins the season through a challenge of immunity wins and idol finds to look like. You
yeah,
know, he's none of that. He's the regular guy, and yet he's fun. He's entertaining. He's good at the game. Yeah, maybe he'd be a first boot in some scenarios, but like he is what they've really is distilled as like this is the star power that New Era can have, and most New Era players. You can see flashes of like like this is the archetypes of the players they have, and said, yeah, this reminds me a little of Rick Devens. Maybe that's why you hate them both, but or people out there hate them both. That's you being the viewer at
yeah, no,
home
I
here.
gotcha. Yeah,
But like, then I love it. I love what
yeah.
he brings here, and he's already been pretty darn fun to have.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I love that Rick Devens went out and was like on the beach initially was like, yeah, I don't want an idol. Are you kidding? I want to play different. And then immediately is talking to Christian. They're about to form an alliance, but haven't yet. And he's like, oh, I thought that was an idol. I really thought that was a scroll. By the way, do you want to be best friends? And then they become
Yeah,
best friends. Um,
yeah.
it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love Survivor. Um,
Mhm.
but no, yeah, I'm really excited for Rick Devens to be here. Rick Devens is here. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think him, especially with the Edge of Extinction, coming back is really fascinating because it's a type of experience we haven't seen before from a returnee season of someone who came back, whose first season was on one of these you can come back from the dead sort of things, and then almost win, and then had to come back. Because it's like, sure, Ozzy almost won South Pacific, but I mean, that was Ozzy's third time playing, and he's Ozzy. He's
Yeah.
not changing the way he plays. But like, the closest is maybe like,
Matt Elrod.
well, Matt Elrod never came
Wait,
back.
no.
That's what I'm
Who am
saying.
I thinking about then? Is that Grant Matos who came? I'm saying like of these players who like came back on their season and made a deep run to the end.
The
Like none
closest
of, none
is,
of them else came back and were returnee on a season like this. You know what I mean?
yeah, the closest is probably Andrea, who I think came back from Redemption Island and then got
Oh
probably
yeah,
voted out again. And I mean, if there's one player that I would have loved to see on 50, it would have been Andrea. I know, it's Andrea, right? I love Andrea.
yes,
I love
yes.
her.
I know this.
Um, I would have loved to see her. I think she's a very steady presence. And I think she was great on Karamoan, where she
Mhm.
was kind of fighting with that edge of extinction. And so I'm excited for Rick Devens. I think he'll probably be a little more dynamic than Andrea was, just purely based
Yeah.
off editing so far, and maybe being a guy because editing once again. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm excited, and I'm really excited for his bromance with Christian, which I think is a beautiful thing indeed.
Yeah. I think it's fun to see actually that we can. Is Christian next? I hope.
I think so. I think he is. Yeah.
Let's give it a chance. Let's see.
Yep. There you go.
Yes. Okay. Cool. We can segue into it. Their relationship already. We kind of have this world in which we have both Christian and Rick kind of fully unleashed on this tribe.
Yeah.
Like we have these players who are raw talent and star power, but not controlled and confined in points where they were like they had to get their bearings.
Mhm.
Rick had to go. Rick had to get voted out and then come back to get his bearings. Christian, I mean, he had to find them through the course of the season, but like now we have these players who are fully developed
Yeah.
and are ready to go.
Mine
And
fully formed, except for
yes,
Rizzo, who might be too young. Um, but yeah.
but like they've just jumped in immediately. They, in the way you dive off a boat and have a moment to come up under the water, somehow they just stayed on top. We don't know
Yeah.
how. They're just immediately swimming. We don't
Yeah.
know how it happened, but they have just been ready to go. And that's, I mean, hell, we have all this stuff about Jenna Lewis saying after Christian was running the track, when Christian said this name first. Wow. If that's happening, beast mode. They're playing out of their fucking chords already. Do it, like Christian is not a player you'd expect for this kind of like chaos and worming around. And it's like, oh, ooh, we're gonna have some fun. Like this is they are the core of their like core alliance there. But like I do think they are kind of the same as like the D Camilla Tiffany bundle is him, Rick, and Emily. They could be
Um,
the exact same.
yeah, I think I totally agree. I think Christian, he has the sauce for sure.
Mhm.
I think he's sauced up on a Saturday or Sunday. Um, I think Christian. This is my bold prediction. I think we're gonna see Christian a few more times after this because he's a doctor or he's has whatever it is when you're like a professor and super cool like
Tenure.
that tenure. So he can do whatever the hell he wants and he will get paid for it. So he can do this a million more times if he wants to. And I think he's got the Sari sauce or the Parvati sauce
Mhm.
where and it doesn't matter how many times they play or how many times they get close to winning, they will be well integrated on a tribe to start things off and they will do well. It will take
Definitely.
active effort to get them out, to get them out. Like a real like Tom Westman, I'm throwing my game away to get you out type of thing.
Yeah.
Um, because I think Christian is the blend of trustworthy, super strategic,
Mhm.
known to be a huge asset in challenges, which is something that isn't necessarily true of Sari and Parvati to the same extent. But like you saw the way he did that puzzle at the
Oh,
start
yeah.
of the thing, it was like Aubrey was going about it normal style, and then Christian was like, I'm just gonna do it. Like I'm just gonna
Yeah.
think outside the box. Um, and is also just like a really charismatic guy. So
I think that's one of the things also is like Christian, we talked about aura earlier. Christian's also got immense aura, and that's just from like comfortability and doing what you know how to do and just being very like I'm locking in. And
yeah.
obviously you're like you could be like, it's a little cringy slapping them all first, but then you're like, no, but then you like watch it and you're like, wait, maybe he's the goat.
It's
Maybe he's the
so
goat.
It's so funny you mentioned Christian's aura because I had a conversation about his aura earlier this week. Because one of my friends at work, he's more of a casual Survivor fan than us, but he saw David versus Goliath, and he was talking to me about how much he wants to hate Christian because his aura is too crazy. Because he was talking about like he was a really big fan of Gabby on David versus Goliath, and
Yeah.
like their friendship slash showman's question mark was like a big. I know it's not a showman's,
Mhm.
but
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he
yeah.
was but he was like he did my girl Gabby dirty. A guy like that should not be able to riz her up that easily and then break her heart. Like that's just not fair. Which I thought was a little out of pocket, but very funny. Um,
Mhm. Well,
so shout out
Christian,
Christian. Yeah.
I mean, Christian is the poster boy of Island Hot, and that's like
Yeah.
already a
Seriously.
crazy title.
Yeah.
But I do think here, I was thinking, like obviously with the puzzle, him with the fire, great moment. Him
Oh,
making the
so
fire,
good.
like it's one of those things. Like obviously people have done it before,
But it's been so
but
long. It's been
it's been
since
so long
Young
since we've
Man.
had like an actual like glasses fire moment. And he was like, I've never, obviously like him being like, I've never done it before, but it is fun to see him be like, I'm doing my best Jeremy impression, and also I'm making fire. Having the like, it took me a moment when he said it. Like, I used the sun to make fire, and then I had my son, and I was like, oh,
He I mean,
yo,
that's what I'm talking about. It's just like, yeah, man, if it was Charlie saying that or someone, I'd be like, "Okay, Charlie," whatever. When it's
yeah.
Christian saying that, it's like, that's an epiphany, bro.
Wait, that's kind of
Who got that?
cerebral, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, the glasses thing was awesome because I think that's just like he's having fun, but he's doing it in a way that's indispensable to the tribe. You know, he's
Yeah.
on the same tribe as Ozzy. Ozzy was a spectator towards
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
christening, some might say. Um,
Yeah.
and Ozzy, a guy who I'm sure will try to and in vain hunt fish in the next episode. Maybe he'll be successful, whatever. Um,
Mhm.
got mocked by Christian. He got, you know, Ozzy flew to Fiji and then
Yeah.
got and thought he was
Great
gonna
minds.
outmog Christian Hubicki and failed. By the way, another thing, you notice that Jeff started calling him Hubicki instead of
Yeah.
Christian?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
You know
Um,
what? You know what? He's done it.
he's
He
done
is
it.
one of the I like again, like we talked about this being like a legend season. He didn't even have to do anything to immediately be cemented into that status. Because that is just kind of Jeff's way of saying, like, hey,
You made it.
I'm giving you that. Like you're one of the guys. Um
I will call you every season, Donaldson, Mariano, Cochran, please. You know,
please Cochrane.
yeah.
Um oh, now you're making me immediately think of what if Jeff Probst had WhatsApp? Do you know those?
Yeah,
But it's
yeah,
like
I do.
I need Cochrane. I need Cochrane.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Either anyways, yeah, it is one of those things of like this was them hanging the rav. This is them hanging the jersey in the rafters. He just
for
had to
sure.
show up, and then they're like, all right, you
Yeah,
know, it's like the finals appearance. It's just like okay, he's like a Hall of Famer now.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. That's
so
all it
I
takes.
don't think he could immediately get voted out of the next episode. Not happening. He's got legend status.
For sure.
Congratulations, Christian. You've done it.
He's achieved tenure in the Survivor. You know, you can come back
Yeah,
whenever you want. It doesn't matter. You do whatever you want, just come back whenever you feel like it and do something for us. Um,
and
yeah.
and yes, he moves around like the fucking caterpillar from what's it called? But you know what? Have we
I love
considered
that.
that caterpillar has sauce?
I I think the moral of the story is Christian Hubicki has sauce and aura, and that is undeniable. Uh, yeah. I think Christian's probably in the best spot in the game. To be honest, I think in terms of like actual win equity, like Joe's in the best spot probably in general. I think Christian's in
Yeah.
the best spot win equity wise. Um, not to say he's necessarily my winner pick. We'll get to that later. But
No, because Christian is one of those people it can all blow up on.
yeah,
Like
all it takes is a person being like, "Look at Christian," and there you go.
all it takes is Suri being like, I don't need that guy anymore. Like
Yeah,
if he's just like, hey Suri, I'm helping you, and then they're like, wait a minute, we let her get the merge. Oops. And then she goes, hi guys, Christian's really dangerous. He was running that whole tribe. You're like, ooh,
the
we
Suri
fucked up.
Christian Mogoff will be talked about for generations. That'll be Abel and Cain for a new generation. I mean, you want to
Oh.
teach kids the Bible, show them Survivor 50. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to I don't even know what's next. We'll learn together.
I think
Savannah.
Savannah.
Right, Savannah's on this tribe. Um, what did we think of Savannah? She had a really interesting episode with the journey and everything as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think she's obviously like her and Rizzo have done a good job of winning over the people they need to. And like showcasing it. I think her being willing to show vulnerability has obviously kept her alive here. She survived the first tribal without her name really being brought up in any major capacity.
Yeah.
So that's a really good omen for things to come for her.
Yeah.
I just don't know how much being like person who really wants Suri out will go long term if Suri keeps staying around. But we'll see. She's insulated enough. She's still got her sauce. My roommate is not happy to see her here, but I am.
Oh, there you go. I think Savannah. This is what I appreciate about Rizzo too, and we talked about him earlier. I almost appreciate like the back to back aspect purely because I get to remember what these people are like when they're interacting with someone new, and it's like Savannah is obviously like a pretty charming woman, but also at the same time she's so awkward. Um, I loved going back to this picture of her. I took the screenshot of Savannah explaining who she was and like why she was on the season to her whole tribe gathered around her. I love the fact that she was like, "So I was on 49. You guys want to guess how I did?" And then it's dead silence for 10 seconds, and she's like, "I won." and then and then what I loved, I should have mentioned this earlier, but people started like golf clapping,
Yeah,
doing like
it was an airplane clap.
airplane claps, including Emily Flippin, which I thought was insane.
Yeah.
That's how you know Emily's changed. Um, but that's kind of what I still always go back and forth on how much I like Savannah. Right now, I'm in the I like Savannah stage in my life, because I appreciate how she is just so like absurdly direct. I don't know if direct's the right word to put it. She's just Savannah. She's just kind of
She is. No, she does have the directness to her. Sorry, I'm also being distracted by the right mouse butchering happening behind you.
oh yeah. Shouts out to Survivor Borneo. Great
Yeah.
times. Jen is about to eat a rat, and that'll come up on 50 in 25 years. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, no, Savannah is fun, but I also she's devious. She's devious. This is why I said
100%.
she's like Russell Hantz earlier. It's like she's
Mhm.
got a devious quality about her, and she, like Russell Hantz in Survivor Heroes versus Villains, will keep as much information about her win as she can.
Yeah.
Now Russell didn't win, but he thought he won.
Yeah.
So here you go. Um, I really liked the interaction Savannah had with Colby at this journey, where first of all, meeting in the mines, my God,
Yeah.
um, insane. Also, Mike White was there. I forgot to mention that he was there for like 2 seconds, and then he wasn't.
It is a damn shame. I wish I could have done that game with like 3 people or something, or if it was something else. I wish it just had all 3 because all 3 of them interacting is like that's a dream blunt rotation.
Yeah,
It really is.
yeah. But no, I loved how Savannah just like with this once again, this like smile slash non-smile plastered on her face is like, Colby, you're good. You're good, Colby. As Colby's clearly not good with his configuration. Um, no, I love Savannah. I've decided I
Oh,
love
she's
Savannah. Yeah,
absolutely no, she's
yeah.
amazing.
Um,
Um,
and also pretty good spot. Not a fantastic spot, but like all things considered, pretty
yeah,
solid spot for Savannah, especially with the extra vote. Though her lie coming back from the journey was not amazing, but
no,
whatever.
but I don't think it matters. I don't think it'll matter immediately. It's fine.
No, I think she's got a few rounds at least before
If
she.
anything, she gets sent home during like a swap or something. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah, and I could see that, but right now, like I'm like, all right, yeah, Savannah deserves to be here, which I was not sure of when the cast was announced, uh,
Yeah.
at all. So, but yeah, I've been convinced. So, shouts out Savannah. All right, at this point, we're gonna start moving back to some of the other people we didn't talk about before, because
Hmm.
next up is the aforementioned Kolbster. Give me your thoughts on the Kolbmeister, some might
I
call him.
I have watched chunks of season 20. That
Okay,
is all I have watched of him, aside from the bajillion preseason interviews he did. Because I knew what to expect from him from like the 20 and knowing and about things of like him neglecting him saying no to the chocolate, him just sitting on a bed watching
sure.
fucking what Treasure Island.
Yeah, love
Um,
Treasure Island. Biggest
shout
fan
out,
of Treasure Island out
yeah.
there.
Like at the end of the day, Colby Colby has changed more than any other player out here.
Yeah,
Really has, and I'm so excited because Colby is someone I genuinely think you could have tossed him into a regular New Era season and he would have crushed. Like at least from all I heard
really.
preseason, like I
Yeah,
genuinely felt this like at least from all the preseason stuff and all the talk and especially what we kind of saw on the show too. We have a point where he's studied the game. He's made himself a student of the game. He's got his mind up there, but he's still the same Colby that he was at his core. He's just matured a lot, and maybe that means a little bit of roughness physically, and that can cause you to hurt your own allies.
yeah,
Um, where was he on? Yeah, and but like at the end of the day, he's again his willingness to work with like new era players. You know, he's positioned pretty darn well in his tribe, aside from no vote. But like at the end of the day,
Even still, I'm of the opinion having no vote is
yeah,
not as big of a deal as people make it seem, because the worst case scenario is basically your ally gets targeted.
yeah. At the end of the day, like he is probably like he's the most complete player he's ever been, and one of the more complete players I think we could see on this season because he already was a great social threat, but he's completely leaning into that now, and willing to lean into that as well as any sort of latent physicality he has. I think he's like genuinely. I was so hopeful to watch him this season, and I'm so glad he was not the first boot, and I'm excited to see what he has to bring for the rest of this in a way where I'm like you, I really before seeing all the preseason stuff, I thought he was an old dog who could never learn a new trick. Like
Yeah.
I genuinely thought he had nothing left to bring to the show, and I've realized he's got probably the most compelling arc out of anyone already.
No, I mean, I totally agree in the sense of like maybe not the most compelling arc, but I'll say this, a way more compelling arc than I was expecting.
Yeah.
Because I sit here and I look at Colby's face and I look at his cowboy smolder and I'm like, I know you haven't seen Australian Outback in all stars, but I have. I've seen Australian Outback way too many times
Hmm.
because that season's bad. But
We
whatever.
watched like the first 3 episodes together.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, you know, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's just so awesome that Colby's back on Survivor to me. Like, I didn't think it would, but like this is not the heroes versus villains Colby.
Mhm.
This is legitimately, to me, this is the Australian Outback Colby who is excited about the adventure and is excited
Yes.
to be out there. Heroes versus villains Colby, not like that. All Stars Colby, not like that. He was
No.
very similar to Heroes versus Villains in terms of like feeling, especially after the first like 2 or 3 episodes. But this is a version of Colby we haven't seen in literally 25 years, who's excited to be here and like loses his boat, but is like, ah, whatever. I'm here. I'm having fun. Who cares?
He's
It
here to have fun playing the game, which is again what we bought from these people here.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is if there is a treasure island reward, which we're all hoping for, I think he'll be okay if Amanda and Daniel fight over a scroll this time. I think he'll be okay with that. I don't care. He might just have to watch Treasure Island at home. I don't know. Um, but no, I'm really excited for Colby, and I think he's done a really good job building relationships, too. So yeah.
You know the photo of him where they had those fucked up photos of all the cast that they did before
Yes,
this
yes, the
season?
super serious ones.
You know
Yeah.
how he was like Superman in a fat suit? In that photo,
Mhm.
he looks like Superman's dad from Man of Steel before he's about to go into like the
Yeah.
tornado.
Kevin
Like
Costner. Yeah.
he looks just like Kevin Costner in that photo. I sent it to you just now so you could
Yes,
get that.
I will yes.
He really does look like Kevin Costner about to sacrifice himself in a tornado.
Yeah, let me put that in. Take a look y'all. You won't see it for long.
No.
God. Let me zoom in on his face. Let me really zoom in on his face.
He
My
looks
God.
like Kevin Costner ready to fly into a tornado.
I mean, that is not the same person we just saw. That is
No,
somebody else.
no.
But that's pretty awesome. Um, yeah.
But yeah,
No,
his bit
I'm
with Rizzo, fun.
very fun. I loved how he was like, I hate this guy. I
Yeah.
that's one thing about Colby that I missed. He's a great confessionalist.
Yes.
Like he's great at talking to a camera because he keeps it real. He keeps it
Hmm.
real, but in like a but I'm gonna be kind of nice way though.
Yeah.
You know?
I'll actually say this. I was considering saying this earlier, but I'll just completely go there. I think like him in his complete form, he could pull off a Surrey style game. Like he doesn't need. I think he's at a point where he doesn't need like physicality. He's going to be coasting off of mostly strategic and social. He's got the physicality to get himself through the early game, but like with combination of just pure like ability, being an old school player, confessionals. Like confessionalism is one people forget about. Like why Surrey is a star and why we love watching her is because of that personality that just comes out there,
Yeah.
and he's got that. I think he's got it, and I don't care how crazy of a thing it is to say, but yeah.
Minus the strategy part.
Here's the thing. From what I've seen, I think he's understood the flaws in his own previous games, and I think he's willing to try to rectify that here. I think he does have less. He's less likely to try to pull off a big move,
Yeah.
but we've seen he's able to put himself into exactly where, and his social game is setting himself up for if things get rocky, he's going to have connections anyways. Because I think like that Rizzo connection. I mean, we're gonna if we just want to fully get into it, do we want to wait for Q to just completely talk about how fucked fucking
Well, you won't
Siva
believe
is?
who's next. Coincidentally, it is
We're
Q.
about to.
So yeah.
I mean, look, they have a majority alliance together. They've got 5 people. The caveat is they just lost one of them, and 2 of them lost their votes. So now you have a 3-2 split on a 7-person tribe. And now technically, whether or not they know it, what is it? Angelina, Aubrey, and Rizzo hold all the power.
Yes.
Colby having the social game and being connected with Rizzo, I feel like that scene not only matters just for Colby and telling stories anyways. That's a sign. Colby hopefully should be fine getting out of this tribe. And like it's one of those ways of like even if you have your alliance, it's making people on the other side feel connected with you. And I feel like I feel like he's got the sauce this time.
Yeah.
This time around, he fully feels like his most complete player. Anyways, Q time.
Yeah, Q time. It's Q time. I love a lot of things about Q. He's my favorite player of the new era. Um, I I forgot this is me a broken record based on what I just said about Colby. I forgot how amazing of a confessionalist that he is.
Yes.
And I know that sounds insane to say because of what he says. You can cancel Christmas, but like a lot of the stuff I remember from 46 is like hide and seek and the Q skirt and stuff like that. Him going insane at tribal council. But Q, even when he's not doing a bit, is just naturally hilarious.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I think that's one of the things is that Q was toned down in a way that like again to compare Q and Angelina here, both of which are absurd people who have these bits that they run or whatever, or that they had. Angelina tried to keep the bits going. Q, from what I can tell,
he lives it.
he lives it. But the fact of the matter is with someone like Q, you really worry about again flanderizing yourself and becoming too much. And I think that's the same with like Rizzo too, right?
Yeah.
You worry about that with those people. And like Q was the perfect amount of himself and enough at the same time of like if we got enough of him where I was like, damn, he's kind of toned down, but it's kind of really good.
Yeah.
Like you had these moments where you're like, it's really funny that it's him, Ozzy, and Coach on a beach together.
So awesome.
And the thing is, he didn't do anything.
He was
That's the best part. He wasn't doing shit, and it was really funny because sometimes putting your funniest person on the sideline and just having them be an extra is a really funny thing.
Yeah, this photo that I screenshotted comes from the challenge that they did after the initial challenge on Exile Island, where Ozzy, Coach, and Q were trying to get this key. And this comes from the part of the challenge where Ozzy's using his wet noodle stick to try to get this thing off. Pause. And was struggling. And Q's like 35 minutes. That's all he says is we've been here for 35 minutes, no key, still no key.
Yeah,
amazing. Just I feel the frustration in his eyes, in his voice. I love Q.
Him and Ozzy together on Exile, it's meant. Because that's the thing is in that you see none of him at the beginning because he doesn't really matter, and then you're like, wait, it's Ozzy and Q on an island together, and then that's when they start pumping up the confessionals of him, and you're like,
I love that after Coach left and Ozzy was like, I guess we're on Exile. He was like, well, nice to meet you, buddy. My name's Q. We're gonna spend a lot of time together. Yeah, I don't really look. I don't care how far Q makes it. Frankly, Q's already made it further than I thought he would. Um, which
Yeah,
is
I
to
mean, I
say, he was not the first person eliminated from his tribe.
I know. I'm so worried about like Q's fate on his tribe being like Q and being without a vote.
Yeah,
Um, but like I do a little mourn the world in which there was a Q Kyle Genevieve core to that tribe.
I know.
Oh my, can we like that?
That's our
Like,
witch's coven. Alliance
yeah,
broken too soon.
that's oh my god, dude, think about that for fucking decades, man. That's Tyrese Halliburton fucking
That's
breaking his Achilles.
that's the ultimate if. That's Justin
Dude,
Herbert of
Dude,
Survivor
Kyle's the
50.
fucking Tyrese Halliburton of Survivor. Write it
I
down,
know.
ship it
Yeah.
home. No, he broke his he fucked up his Achilles right before a generational performance, but right after it started. You don't understand. This is exactly it.
Oh my god. Yeah. Um, but no, I love Q. I love that's another
Oh,
guy you could see on every season, like Christian, because he's like a millionaire or whatever, or multimillionaire. He's like whatever he's doing in his life is going well. So he could do
well,
Survivor
he's a
however.
real estate agent.
Right, the top
He's
real estate agent in California or something like that. Or one of them.
he's from Tennessee.
But he lives in California, I think. No? No,
Uh,
I don't know. Who's to say? I don't really know.
Senatobia, Mississippi.
Yeah, that's where he was born. Yeah.
Mm. Oh,
I
hometown. Yeah, yeah. Currently lives Tennessee, Germantown, apparently.
well,
Hey,
live your life, Q. Good for you.
shout out to Q. But really, just I do think Q is someone you need to use sparingly.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to have people be tired of him. But if he puts up performances like this in this episode, you don't have to worry about that as much.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. Like, it's yeah, he's wonderful.
Yeah. Shouts out Q. Next up, Coach. I've been waiting to talk
Dude,
about Coach.
you go first then. I want to look
Um,
back.
so I want to start by saying this. Benjamin Coach Wade, also known as Coach Wade, because he doesn't like being called Benjamin, is my favorite Survivor contestant of all time. It's not particularly close. He's my favorite. Like Camilla, he's my favorite contestant. Who agrees with me? When he was announced for the cast of 50, I was not happy. I was happy, but I wasn't. Because I was like, and I truly believe this, I have a tier list that I made that I could show off right now if I wanted to
But you won't.
of my favorite multi-season character arcs. And Coach Wade is number one. Because his arc from Tocantins to Heroes versus Villains to South Pacific is amazing. And I was like, it's just
Dude,
going to be a worse character arc.
it's only going to sour the experience.
You
It's a
can't mess
sequel we didn't ask for.
you can't mess with perfection. I don't want it to be like Ozzy in Game Changers, who ruins his perfect arc by coming back and doing nothing. We'll get to Ozzy in a bit, who has, like Coach, somehow made his legacy even better. Because in one episode, Coach has just added a completely new layer to Survivor South Pacific, while being the same old guy, while also being a new version. I just everything about it. I loved how he was like, "Guess my tribe's picking me." When he
Yeah.
went to the journey, he went there and was like, "Ozzy, I know that I was a sore loser, and I'm sorry about that. I was a sore loser." And then Ozzy's an extremely sore loser after the challenge, and coach is like, "Well, I honorably stole that key."
And you know what? You know what's crazy?
He was right.
You can honorably steal.
Yep,
That's
that's
the
the
kind of gameplay
situation.
I love. Coaches damn honorably stealing.
Uh, I I mean that was my survivor pipe dream. That was my hope for 50 was all right, we're gonna get some more South Pacific stuff. That was my big goal, and we got it in the first episode,
Mhm.
which was just amazing. My favorite there were so many things I loved about it. I mean the challenge itself was good. Having Ozzy do his classic Ozzy stuff and then losing at the end was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I loved how Coach takes the key from under him. Ozzy just like collapses in the sand, and then Coach hits a Dragon Warrior pose
Yes.
over
Dude,
Ozzy's dead body. Just
yeah,
total BM, but like, oh my god. It's Coach, he can't not do it. And he's
yeah.
H box popping off while Ozzy's just like in the doldrums. And
Yes.
then Coach is so happy, and then he's like, "But you guys get to open the box. I bet that box is awesome.
Yeah.
Ah, you get to open the box. Yeah, yeah." Um,
Uh,
and he's like, "Have fun with that. Haha, I'm out of here." And
yeah.
then he wanders off, and then the reward is, oh, you get to stay on Exile Island.
Oh, I think Coach is really at his best when he is winning the game because he's someone who shouldn't ever be winning the game. But but when he is, he's like, I'm
the
winning the game.
the thing
And like that's so it's so fun to have someone who shouldn't be an overdog kind of overdog mentality because he's like, this is fun. I'm up here. I'm having a great time. Welcome to coach's fun time.
The thing about Coach, and that's a great point. I've never thought about how he should not be an overdog, but then he is, and his reaction to that is he's an overdog on every season he's on. There's at least one time in every season where Coach is on top of the world. In Token Cheens, it's like the entire premier. When he gets out
Yeah.
Brendan, oh my god, top of the world.
Yeah.
In Heroes versus Villains, when he beats Colby in the first challenge, on top of the world. In South Pacific, most of the game. And then in here, he's beaten his old pal Ozzy and is just back to the same old Coach as always. And that likens itself later on in camp when, once again, you have the toe ring thing. But more importantly, Mike White, after his consequential experience at the journey, comes back and is like, Ozzy's not happy about that. And Coach is like, "Ugh." I could feel him. It was like the same Coach that got mad
Yeah.
when Stacy called him Benjamin in South
It
Pacific.
was.
It was like
Uh,
he was about to say, that's not my that's my government name. I don't like, my parents still call me Coach. You know
yeah.
it.
But that yeah,
Yeah,
I think that is the core of what makes Coach fun is he's this guy where you watch him and you go, there's this shouldn't be happening.
no,
This shouldn't be happening right now. And
no.
it's the most brilliant way of just constantly seeing that. And you have, and he's back. He's really just been himself. Um, and I did tell my watch party. I said when we saw him, I said, look, there's this guy. His name's Coach.
His name's
This is him.
Coach,
This is him. His name's Coach. He's gonna be making people do yoga
and he
in the
did.
morning. And I because I had to have the quintessential experience because I need to have them be ready for not only me, also them to join in at audibly popping off when they started doing yoga on the beach. When it was him, Mike White, and Jonathan out there, it was woohoo! It was like we were in a fucking roller coaster, man. I I know there were other households where that was happening as well.
Yeah, the one I was
Because
in.
yeah,
Yeah, you better believe it.
and even beyond us, I know other people who were like, it happened. We're here. He's back.
And the thing with Coach is, once again, on all his seasons, every single one, it starts off, we're at the start of the season, and everyone's like, man, this Coach guy is so weird. Like, and I don't know how to feel about him. That's been him on every season he's been on. But every time he manages to find a core group. And I think that
Mhm.
will only stay true here as well. So I mean, like, shouts out to Coach. I could not say enough kind things about the man. Such a hypocrite. I love it. He's
It's
such a hypocrite.
it's so awesome. Now,
Um,
see, him being a hypocrite only matters until FTC for if he finally says I was a hypocrite, then he wins. He
I,
wins.
based on what happened this episode, I don't know. I think he said he's learned that, but I don't know if he has. Speaking of
He
hypocrites,
only needs to learn that for like 6 hours at the last day. That's it.
speaking of hypocrites who say they learned their lesson and then don't, let's talk about Ozzy. Because
What's up?
Ozzy, I had these this picture by the way of Ozzy, of him dead on the beach. Um, Ozzy is To start again, I said before that Coach has the best arc in Survivor history. I maintain that. Ozzy, to me, before Wednesday night, had the most fumbled arc in Survivor history, where his run from Cook Islands to South Pacific is perfect. It's perfect, and he loses in the same fashion that got him there. The only way that he's been able to get to the end
Mhm.
his entire Survivor career, which is just by winning challenges. And then he goes on Game Changers and it literally isn't there. He just is not there.
Yeah.
But Ozzy's back in 50, and not only has he already done more to in the season than he did the entirety of Game Changers in one episode, his legacy's back. I would
Yeah.
say he has a next to perfect legacy immediately just like that.
I would say this is his Mission Impossible Fallout.
I'll take your word for it.
But this is purely to say it
Sure.
is within, so 1, 2, 3. You have a build up to it being like a great arc, right?
Yeah.
Then you have the next two, which kind of sucked because they had Jeremy Renner, but that's not the point. They were a dip, but they were still good. So, but the Game Changers are more of a dip. And then Fallout comes around, and you're like, this is the greatest franchise of all time, actually.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is him coming back and saying, oh, holy shit. Like, he has, again, he's one of those people trying to evolve their game. And like, you have this last moment where people are like, things matter so much. I'm trying to change the minutia. And he's kind of doing it. I mean, he's not perfect. He's still kind of fucking shit up. He's still kind of screwing the pooch here. But at the end of the day, like, he's made some improvements, and he's been real. Oscar's been fun to watch. He's got a boomerang. I don't know.
Yeah, he does have I honestly totally forgot he has a Billie Eilish boomerang idol now. I totally forgot about the Billie Eilish boomerang idol. I'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second because I have some thoughts.
Yes, I do too. But Oscar, also known as Ozzy, who I will continue to refer to as Ozzy. God, I forgot how fun he is to watch. I really did. Because when I think about his Survivor journey, I think about Cook Islands, and I'm like, he's on Cook Islands and he almost wins, but it feels like he doesn't really do that much. The thing that I associate him most with doing is throwing the challenge to get out Billy and then flirting with Parvati, and it's like I don't really remember that much else. Micronesia, he does a decent amount. He falls in love with Amanda and then gets blindsided with an idol. He has this really dumb hat that they showed in Survivor 50, which I was so happy about that they showed his stupid dumb hat. I love his dumb hat. Did a decent amount there, and then South Pacific, he does everything. But once again, Game Changers is the most recent Ozzy we've seen, so like we forget about it. And then Ozzy comes back, and he's as honor and integrity as Coach is. He's the same player, basically.
He always has been. That's the fun part.
Yeah. And it's like this guy, Ozzy, would not be a 5-time player if he weren't insane in the water, which he still is. I mean, he's insane at this shit. I don't know how he does it. Yeah.
Because especially in the first challenge of the season, you're like,
that's what I'm saying.
Oh!
It's like, my God, he's back.
Dude,
and
yeah.
Even with a bad back or whatever, he's still doing it. And then he loses to Coach in an unhonorable way, and Ozzy's back to the same whiny baby that I saw in South Pacific. And it's like I love that they don't learn. I love that they're the same person over and over again. Truly, this makes me smile. It's awesome. So yeah, I'm really happy Ozzy's here. I can't wait for him to get blindsided with the Billie Eilish boomerang idol.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's actually going to happen, but I'm excited for when it happens.
Do you want to talk here about what the Billie Eilish boomerang idol means to all of us? Also, I just thought about it and I really realized Micronesia really is a hat season. It's a real season of hats. It's a real season of hats. So I was looking back at people, I was like, why? I saw Amanda had a hat in the photo.
I was about to say Amanda's iconic backwards baseball cap that she wears during Eric's boot episode.
Amanda's backwards baseball cap. John Dalton's hat.
I will lie for food.
Yeah. Jonathan Penner's hat. You remember
Classic.
the fucked up leopard fedora?
Classic. Yeah.
But beyond
The
all that,
Mikey B's
oh
famous
yes.
Celtics hat. How do we forget? That says I think it says Celtics on it. It's green and has
Oh my
Celtics
god.
on it in
Oh
gold
my god.
font.
Wait, and fucking Joel had a hat too. What the fuck? Everyone had hats.
It's
Micronesia was the hat season.
it's the hat season. Can't deny it.
Um, anyways, Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol. So everyone has their predictions on what it was going to be before the season. I'd like to highlight mine because I think I have opinions that matter.
Yes, you
Um,
do.
well, bold claim. I wouldn't really make that one myself. I think I do.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I thought it was going to be an idol where if you played it and there were no votes cast against you, you get it back. That was my first thought of what the boomerang idol would be, where
Yeah.
as like a real boomerang, you would throw it out, and if anything hit it, you hit anything, it does not come back to you, which I think is actually a pretty balanced idol concept. It basically makes it so that you can just play it whenever you want. But
Yeah.
if someone throws a single stray vote, it's gone. You know, which inherently balances out the risk reward of it all.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the anti-blindside idol, but it
Yeah,
still
it's
means
cool.
that if you're just chopped, you still get the one time, but you can't just play it willy-nilly.
For sure.
Kind of sad that didn't happen, but this one's still fun.
I think the modern Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol, aka the only one that's existed of like you give an idol to someone, if they get voted out, you get it back, is kind of fun. I imagine I haven't seen much criticism of it, but I
Mhm.
imagine if there is, it's probably well, you're giving an idol to someone for free, which has existed in the Survivor lexicon for literally over a decade. Because I think about Survivor
Mhm.
China, I think was the first one to do that, where you had the Art of War like scrolls,
Yeah.
and how I think it was Leslie basically guided um, Todd to knowing where the idols were, and then Todd or some no they're on the
No, I
same
thought
tribe.
no, Todd
Leslie,
guided
it
James.
was Jamie.
I thought it was Todd guided James.
Well, Todd did, but they were on the same tribe. It was right because it was a
Uh,
swap. Yeah, James got
yes.
swap screwed, and then Todd used that to say James, this is where the idol is, and then James was like, I guess it's probably in the same spot back here, and then that's how it got two idols.
Yeah.
So this helping someone else on the idol get a thing has been in Survivor forever. I think it's fun because Ozzy has no idea where it came from.
Yeah.
All he knows is he has an idol. And the thing is, Ozzy's the perfect person to give it to because not only is he likely to get blindsided with an idol, he's also likely to just like not think about where it came from and not think about why he randomly has an idol now.
Yeah. And you know what? This actually makes a lot of sense because Ozzy is kind of the person that Genevieve would want to make her victim, anyways. Because Genevieve was saying before the season a lot, I want to partner up with a man who's kind of bad at the game.
There you go.
And then she goes, Ozzy, have this idol, where she's like basically gambling. If you don't go home and you're playing good right now, I get the ally I want.
And she's
If,
right. Yeah.
but if you don't go home, or if you go home, I get my idol back. Like that's, you know what? That's a good deal.
Yeah.
I take that deal.
Yeah. Not bad at all. So yeah, I think the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol, pretty fun gimmick. I liked how reading it, it was, hey, it's Billie Eilish.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was kind of hilarious. But yeah, I wonder what Billie Eilish thinks about her own Boomerang Idol. Is she happy that Genevieve got it? I think she would be. I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
Surely she enjoys Genevieve.
Yeah. Who doesn't? All right. Let's move on to, believe it or not, sort of the meat and potatoes of this episode, which are the three people who were really important here. So we got Sari, who was this close to going home. I mean, not really this close. It was more like this close because there were like 6 votes not against her. But I mean, Sari is here, Sari Fields, and she did in fact fumble the immunity challenge for her tribe.
To be fair,
Oh wait,
again,
Sari's here. I forgot to pull up her picture.
in
There's
her
Sari.
defense, which
Sorry.
she's already made on the internet, she had prepared for that kind of challenge and that sort of skill for Australian Survivor versus the World and has practiced that kind of thing a lot. The
Yeah.
caveat is she didn't practice with a wall of ropes in front of her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, you know what? I think that's about as reasonable as like a fumble as you can get of like, I practice for this niche scenario, but not for this nicher scenario right next to it to like fuck me over.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think like I'm not like I feel like that's an argument that she kind of made to some people, and it's like that's why you don't be that's like not a challenge doomer scenario, and
Sure.
like it wasn't a bad decision for them to put her there. She's already back to being the goat. She obviously was in a little danger, but like people obviously vote out Ozzy before they vote out her.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And also, Cerie's been in this position a good amount of times at this point. This
Hmm.
happened to her in Exile Island. This happened to her, I think, in Micronesia. Um, Heroes versus Villains happened eventually, then not immediately, and then now here we are. I don't remember Game Changers, honestly. I imagine she was probably in a good position in Game Changers. I don't
Dude,
remember anything.
she would have won if it weren't for her advantage getting. Like that's pretty much
No,
the
I'm talking
running
about at like the
thing.
start of the season if she was
Oh,
targeted immediately.
I don't remember for the
Yeah,
life of me.
it's Game Changers. I mean, come on.
It's fucking game
Um,
movies.
yeah, but regardless, Cerie's a great player. We all know this, but I honestly thought her goose was cooked for a little while. I was like, all right, people are gonna be like Jenna's overplaying, and then when the fumble happened, I was like, if there's any
Ooh,
time Cerie's getting voted out first, it's right now. Like
yeah.
this is just like clear cut dry. You have an excuse to get rid of her, but they didn't take it, and they kept Cerie instead, which I don't know. I don't know if that would be a good thing. I think if I were objective,
I
I
think
would
that's
have
a good thing for us. I think that's a
sure,
good thing for us and
sure.
all the people at home.
I would say like the way I put it was like Suri would is the person who Logic Brain would get rid of. Like it makes sense every time. It always makes sense to get rid of Suri, but no one does. You know, it
I
continues.
mean, that's the thing with like a good enough social player is you can override logic, and I think it's hard to say that Sarita does anything but that.
Yeah,
She's the goat for a damn reason. Well, the goat of never winning.
yeah, yeah.
But I mean, look,
Survivor. Yeah,
the moment she gets a chip, the argument's over. You know what
hmm
I mean?
for
Like,
sure, for sure.
I mean, I mean, she's up there. Obviously, there's other factors of like multiple wins for other people, but like she's there. She's on my Rushmore for sure if she gets the win.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously. So I'd say that like the fact that Sari didn't go home here is not necessarily insane, but I think it's the fact that she really didn't get any heat at all aside from Jen is pretty crazy because even like Joe
Mhm.
was like, well, we should get rid of Ozzy before we get rid of Sari. And that's Joe Hunter saying that. So
Yes.
yeah,
Savannah was like very much a ooh,
that
but
is true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
you know what? I yeah, like she's, she's fucking amazing. It's hard to say much that you can't say already that like isn't deeply present throughout the episode of like she is just a tour de force of a player. Um, and this will be another good Cerise season.
Yeah. They all are. They all are. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, look, the person that was really leading the charge on her is someone who we talked about way at the beginning of this podcast, and that would be, of course, Jenna Lewis. Seen here
Hmm.
thinking about how why is she about to get voted out first? Um, Look, I was so high on Jenna. My
Hmm.
Jenna stocks could not have been higher. Like legitimately.
Yeah.
I mean this with every fiber of my being. Like we my family had like a survivor draft of like draft the people you like the most, the people who you think
Hmm.
will do well.
I
But
mean, you picked her right.
it was like a fantasy draft. And she was my number one woman on the board. It was my team was Christian, who is my number two guy on the board. Jenna, who is my number one girl. Tiffany, who was in the upper range of women, and then Joe, who was like my number three guy. So I was
Hmm.
really happy about that draft, and I went away being like Jenna's the biggest like question mark. But I don't think people want to get rid of her because she's she's such a firecracker. Little did I know it was a very big firecracker indeed. So yeah. What do you think of Jenna this episode?
Jenna was great. You know what? I think she filled everything we needed out of a first boot. Someone who you could say, "I'm so glad they're here," but also have no qualms in saying, "We know why they're gone." You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it was as open and shut as it kind of could be, but like even with enough stuff, you were like, "Is Ozzy going?" That like it was a reasonable enough that you had a little bit of a doubt of like where is the target going to be, but after the votes were cast, you were not worried about like, okay, I don't
I,
know why. I appreciated obviously her like and it just everything about what she brought to this singular episode was was perfect. It was like the perfect of a first boot you could have.
yeah.
Um, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, a quick aside on Ozzy because you just mentioned him. I meant to say this when we were talking about him, but if Ozzy had gone home, it would have been maybe the greatest singular episode in Survivor history. Like, it would have been so perfect. I don't know if anybody has ever had such a great arc theoretically in one episode.
Yeah.
I like, oh my god, it would have blown my mind. And that's to say Jenna in this episode had probably one of the best single episode arcs of any contestant in one episode I've seen just in terms of like you saw her past and then you saw her get voted out is great.
Mhm.
Um there's a lot of irony also, something I really appreciate about Jenna's arc in this one episode in the way that she played. Because the whole thing that she was saying is that I want to play a new era game while fundamentally misunderstanding what a new era game is. Because she
Mhm.
assumed it was all about strategy before social, so to speak.
Mhm.
When in reality, that's not how you win the new era at all. I don't think anyone's won in the new era by being strategic before being personable. Um, like that's why
Yeah.
Gabler wins over Cassidy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
She
that
she
was
watched the Cassidy cut. She watched the version that everyone on Stan Twitter watched.
yeah, yeah. Um, but no, like I think about like throughout most of Survivor history, that's the case. Like I think about heroes versus villains. I think I remember the villains camp was like, how is this Russell guy? This guy's talking about making alliances to the end. It's day one.
Mhm.
But funnily enough, one of the people who did that and was successful at like just going strategy before social was in fact Jenna Lewis when she was
Mhm.
able to stage the coup against all the winners and also the Rob Cesarninos in Survivor All Star by being like, let's all agree to just get Tina out. Let's just do that first.
Mhm.
And then was able to, kind of run her ship like the Navy of a tribe that just kept losing and losing and losing. Despite being Jenna and just kind of like a lot.
Mhm.
So shouts out to her. Another great example, like Ozzy, of someone who just has not changed at all in 25 years, personality wise. Like just a lot.
No,
That's what
I
I'll
think
say about Jenna.
like Jenna came in. Jenna did Jenna things, and unfortunately, Jenna reaped the rewards, and what is now a Jenna reward. Like
Yeah.
she did, she came in. She targeted one of the biggest players of the season. It
And
doesn't
that's not
always
what you
work out.
want.
That doesn't
Yeah.
work out. Sometimes you go out like a buster,
Yeah.
and
Better to burn out than to fade away. Blah blah
yeah.
blah. Yeah.
And you know what? I'm deeply appreciative for what she brought to the season. Like
Yeah.
again, there's sometimes where you have like first boots where it's like that was such like dude, the first fucking Nicole appreciate you being on season 49. It wasn't a fun episode to watch you go home.
I
It
thought you
wasn't.
were referring to Nicole Delma from Survivor Pro Island, and I was like, I don't know what you have against her. I forgot about Nicole
Yeah.
49's existence, to be quite
But
frank.
like a good first boot can set the tone for a season, right? It's hard to see like always, the first boot being interesting and you have stuff to go off of. Jenna went home in a first boot in a way that some people go home at the merge,
Yeah,
of like,
yeah,
this is a clean cut. We have everything. We both enjoy watching you and are fine seeing you go. And I appreciate that so much.
yeah,
And I'm very happy she was on this season. And I'm happy that she was the first boot. It was
Yeah.
satisfying. He kept it being a good episode.
It was very much like, once again, like, this is not some it's so perfect that, like, it could only happen on Survivor, and it could only be real. The fact that she was on 50 seasons ago, and this is the
Mhm,
first boot this time around. Like, there's a lot of so much poetic to it. The fact that, like, she tried to do the same thing in All Stars, and when it worked the first time, it didn't work this time. You know,
mhm.
it turned around on her, and it's the ghost of Tina Wesson, who's still very much alive, um, haunting her, being like, "This is what you get for voting me out first." Um, so yeah, shouts out to Jenna. I could honestly see her coming back too, in the sense of like, well, we need some more season one representation. We've got to milk this cow for all it's worth. But
I think this is her last. I mean, she does some extra press. This is the last rodeo for her, and I think also if this is the last time they ever bring someone from season one, I'm fine with it. I
yeah,
think this is, what, this didn't just feel like a first, like, there's so much where, like, if you bring someone from the first season, they come on to 50, they could go home here, and it would feel like you're putting down a dog.
yeah,
This feels like you're passing the torch. This felt like a passing of the torch more than like euthanasia.
yeah. As much as I would love to see like a Jervis come back, I agree
Mhm.
generally. Like, this is a perfectly great setup, send off even.
Until you
Yeah,
hear that for season like 55, it's Colleen Haskell. Everything's out the window. Great,
yeah. Great
Greg
point.
and Colleen captain season 55. You're hearing it first. I'm calling it.
Uh, do not threaten me with a good time. My God. Um, There was one more person that went home this episode, lest we forget, and that would unfortunately be, of course, Kyle, who's seen
Mhm.
here looking very sad because he ruptured his Achilles. Um,
Yeah.
Survivor's crazy. You can just get hurt doing anything. You can have to. I've never been in a situation in my life where I've eaten so much meat that I have to be taken to the hospital. But like, that can happen on Survivor.
Did you
So
ever have the meat sweats though?
maybe once or twice in my life, like,
Dude,
it is kinda crazy, but, like, not enough
dude.
for me to
Oh yeah.
be like, "Get me to urgent care stat," you know what I mean?
Hmm.
But Survivor's crazy. Um, and multiple people out there will be saying this is all Colby's fault because, he couldn't get up the wall, which we did not see in the episode, and then Kyle had to come back down and help him. Um, but, it's a big what if. This reminded me, Kyle going home by rupturing his Achilles reminded me a lot of Terry in Survivor Second Chance, having to go
Yeah.
home, being the leader of his tribe, being well integrated. Everyone loves Terry, having to go home because of his son's medical emergency. And this gave me a lot of the same vibes where everyone's like, "Oh, we don't want to see you go. Can't you just stay?" I hate to see it. How are we gonna move on without you? One of you better win
Hmm.
the game. Very similar in that regard. Um, it was just unfortunate, but at the same time, like, in terms of the Kyle Legacy Award, I mean, getting medevac has never been better for Kyle. Like, oh my
Yeah.
god, we're talking about him being the best winner of the new era now. What happened?
Dude,
And
dude, this is what I'm telling you. This is he's look, his performance here is just like Tyrese Halliburton in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. You put up just some generational shots. You're going around saying, "I'm I'm
I'm
that guy.
him.
I'm
Yeah,
that guy." You're putting up shots. Everyone's saying he would have won it if this Achilles didn't blow up. It's one of this, like, he was trying to stay on and say, "Well, let my tribe decide. Let my tribe decide if they want to get ready," because he knew he wasn't going home. He's
mhm,
like, this is. ah, it's one of those things where, like, it fills you with that same feeling of like melancholy, but also he's so good at keeping an alliance together that it's gonna be fun for this season to not see him be here.
yeah,
Like,
honestly, yeah,
it's like the best case scenario in every capacity, because he both doesn't like fuck over people's enjoyments of the game, um, but also puts up a generational show where people would say, I appreciated him a lot. He did a great job. He goes home. Where like even if he doesn't come back, Kyle has like stamped his himself as like everyone's like great player, good winner, fun guy. Like we forgive him for season 48 a little actually.
I think he'll be back. I don't know if you can do another Survivor Philippines with Medevacs, but I mean, I think if you're gonna do it, you do it with him.
Him, Bruce, and what's his name from Dave versus Goliath?
Pat.
Pat.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
No, it would actually be him, Bruce, and Shoulder Matthew.
I don't need to see Shoulder Matthew again, but I
No,
got
no, no,
you.
no. It's Shoulder Matthew. It's Kyle, and it's not Bruce because Bruce already got his first or second chance. It's actually Jake Latimer. That's actually like the
Oh,
most likely.
yeah.
That's actually
Yeah.
that's that's it. And if it's not that, then I mean, if they just officially just rip a New Era All Stars, make it season 52, 52 New Era All Stars, or like 54. Actually, yeah, like 54. Give Kyle some time to recover, rip a
Just
New Era All Stars,
turn
then bring Kyle
Survivor
back
into
for
the
that.
challenge. Just make every season a returnee season.
Don't put Johnny Bananas on this goddamn shit, man. I'm telling you, Jeff. You
Who's the
put John.
Johnny Bananas of Survivor? Who's the guy that you just don't who just keeps showing up and you're like, get this guy out of here? Is it Boston Rob? Boston Rob's the Johnny Bananas of the
Boston
challenge.
Rob's like that, but I like Boston Rob because at the end of the day, Boston Rob has charisma.
Yeah, that is true. Well, maybe there's no comp yet, but give it a little while. And Jonathan, once Jonathan wins 7 seasons of
Actually, you know,
Survivor,
you know what the answer was. You know what the answer was. It was Jeff
tell me.
Farner. And but
Yeah,
like 5 years ago, the answer no. I think
the answer
10
was
years.
Joe. It was original Joe. Original Joe was Johnny Bananas.
Oh, QAnon Joe.
QAnon Joe. Good old Joe Kirk. Yeah. All right.
We
Well,
are Joe Englund. We carry the flame.
we've covered a 3 hour episode by talking about it for almost 3 hours.
There's all
So
best.
I'll ask you. Is there anything we missed? I don't know if we did.
Um, thinking about it here. Thinking about it here.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just like I'm excited for the way it's gonna turn out. Oh,
I have something. I have a question for you. Two questions. Number one, we can look at the tribes if you want. Do you have a prediction for the next boot, for the next person voted out? And here, I'll take a look at our tribes.
the answers are per tribe.
Yes. So let's start with Vatu here.
Vatu, the answer is Q.
Really?
If Rizzo, Angelina, Aubrey realize they are all on the bottom and that they have all the power, they get rid of who they want. Q being the person most isolated, this person Colby has the least connection to out of the remaining three, or the remaining three left, or no, remaining two from his original alliance. Yes, it's the remaining two outside of Q from his alliance. Genevieve and Stephanie are insulated.
Yeah.
He has less of a connection to Q, given that Q was gone for a day, and it stays. I mean, it stays a three, pretty much a 3-2 at any point. Colby's decision doesn't matter, but if they feel
Yeah.
like they can scoop him up and keep going, it's great. But you have at least one vote where this majority alliance is out of the majority. So it's all in whether or not the people at the bottom know they have all the power, which I think they'll be able to figure out, given that you have some pretty savvy game players in that bundle.
Yeah.
It'll be fun to see Genevieve try to work a propaganda machine to make them think they don't. That'll be a fun thing to do.
I disagree. I think Q has a few things going for him. First of all, I mean, he got the tribe supplies. I think people view him as like he went out and he won a challenge for us to some extent, or at least got what we wanted. And he's physical and he did well in the first challenge. I don't think if they're thinking challenge strength, I don't think they're thinking we got to get rid of Q. Also,
No,
he is still aligned with Genevieve. You know what I mean?
no, I mean
Like,
he absolutely is, but I think just from an angle of seeing it, it's like if Rizzo Angelina and Aubrey are in power,
Yeah.
who do they shoot for? And it's genuinely like I could see Aubrey trying to get them to go for Genevieve. Um, or
Yeah.
if Q and Genevieve look too close, I could see him being in a crossfire too. Like Q and Colby not having votes is such a is such a bad thing for them, and like
Yeah.
I could see either of them taking the hit for it. And the question is, do they shoot Q? And Q just seems like he's like right for the picking.
See, I have a completely different reading of the tribe. Um, I think that Q and Colby are safe. I think that this is a tribe that is going to be very challenge strength oriented. Between Colby and between Aubrey and between Stephanie, that's and Q. That's four of the six people left, or seven people left. I can't count. Um, left who are going to be focused on challenge strength. And so I think the question becomes, you could say, oh, well, a consensus vote, or, someone who can get caught in the
Yeah.
crossfires, Q or Colby. But I think if you're looking at challenge strength and you're also looking at people who are in alliances and aren't in alliances, you go to Angelina. And it's like,
Yeah.
who's Angelina? We didn't see her make any connection with anybody. We saw her
No.
be like, I'm not going to steal jackets this time around. Well, yeah, you're not, because you're not going to have time to vote anyone out to steal their
Yeah.
jacket. I think,
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't see for anybody here what the incentive to keep Angelina is if they don't have her on board with them. Like,
Hmm.
if Aubrey has Angelina on board with her, which is not something we know, then yeah, sure, maybe Aubrey would try to target Genevieve.
Yeah.
But also, I know that I gave her so much shit earlier, but like Aubrey's smart. That's like the thing about her. She was on the
Hmm.
smart tribe.
Yeah.
She's a boring player. So she won't try to make a crazy move like that. She knows better than that. So
Yeah,
I
but
think
I don't know if it's a crazy move when it's if it lands, right?
if it
Use
lands,
it.
what? There's gonna be a swap soon, right? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but you go from being on the bottom of 5 to being tied 3-3.
I don't get
Like,
it.
I don't know, you go from being expendable to having 2 people who trust you.
Yeah, I IDK, to be honest. I
This
I
is
just
these are different philosophies. This is this is why if we played, I'd go like pre-marriage, you'd win the game.
well, that's definitely not true.
But then we
But
run it through 10 times and I like win like 3 of them because
exactly.
I'm just
Exactly.
like smoking crack in the back.
Um no, I mean I think the Stephanie angle matters. I think the Colby angle matters. I think Rizzo respecting Colby as his dad matters.
Hmm.
Nobody here's connected to Angelina. No one. I mean,
Yeah.
like I think that matters. So,
Hmm.
all right,
That being
that's
said, yeah,
yeah,
let's move on.
yeah. Let's move on to the next tribe. Callow. I don't know. Who do you think's gone from this tribe?
Get by, Chrissy.
Yeah, bye, Chrissy. Yeah, it's kind of set in
I
stone.
we established this earlier. Um,
I just feel like Coach, no way he's going home.
Coach
Tiffany,
doesn't.
Tiffany D, Camilla, they are secretly running the tribe, and they will
You
continue to do so.
you have like at least a guaranteed alliance of 3. You have meditation boys in the morning,
Yep.
and then not to mention Charlie getting along with some of them, and then probably also getting along with women. And you got Chrissy who's pissing off Coach and probably other people. I mean, not pissing off, but you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
like, it's just almost as guaranteed of a Chrissy boot as you can get.
Yeah. I mean, Charlie's too normal to vote out. Mike White's too goofy to vote out. Jonathan's too strong to vote out. Coach is too awesome to vote out. Even if you're not looking at the episode itself, that's the easiest Chrissy boot of all time.
Mhm.
Kindly. Um, I don't think this is a tribe that cares much about challenge strength, aside from Jonathan. But regardless, I mean, I know Chrissy's really good in puzzles, but I mean, Camilla's right there.
Mhm.
Charlie's right there. They're
Yeah,
fine.
you have people who can absolutely hold their own in that capacity, and you don't need her.
Yeah.
It feels as open and shut as it could get.
Yeah. And then finally, let's go to Sela, who I mean just went to tribal council, so we know a decent amount about their tribe dynamics. Who's next out?
Ozzy, I think that's the best way of saying it. A hesitant Ozzy.
I think it's Suri. I still think it's Suri. And the reason I say that is just because the whole vote for this last time was like, yeah, I think Suri's fine to go after. It's just, now's not the time. She's a known quantity. I think Ozzy and Suri are both known quantities while Jenna wasn't. You could make the case
Mhm.
that Savannah could go home. I could hear that out, but I also think Savannah's.
Actually, didn't they say the opposite train episode? That Jenna was a known quantity and the Ozzy and Suri weren't?
I think that was an argument that was being made, but
Yeah.
um yeah, I honestly don't remember. But from my perspective, if I were playing, I would say Cerise's played this game now 6 times. Ozzy is now playing this game for the 5th time. You know what's up with them.
Mhm.
Jenna is trying to do too much. That's why I would get rid of Jenna, even though I would have gotten
Mhm.
rid of Cerise. Um, I think you could say that like, hey, yeah, Savannah could go home because she's not a known quantity, but I think the difference is like Savannah is obviously good in challenges. Like they didn't know how
Mhm.
good she is in challenges, but she's obviously good in challenges.
Mhm.
Which is true of Ozzy as well, but Ozzy's older, so there you go.
Mhm.
But you're
Yeah.
saying Ozzy with a question mark?
Yeah, I'm saying Ozzy with a question mark.
Yeah. All right. And to wrap things up, I do have one more question for you because this is the first episode of the season, lest we forget. The question I'm going to ask is, of course, who do you think's going to win?
You know why I couldn't say Suri?
Because it's Sari.
I think it could be Suri.
You think it could be Sari, or you think it's going to be Sari?
Give me a moment here, because
Oh
I'm
yeah.
thinking
Let
about
me
everyone
pull it
else
back up.
too.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm also looking at all their faces real close, like, and
Sure.
I'm kind of just going over. Do I think Angelina's gonna win? No. Do I think Aubrey's gonna win? Maybe. Do I think Charlie's gonna win? No. Do I think Chrissy's gonna win? Not anymore. Do I think Christian's gonna win? God no. Sari could. Coach, I don't think he could.
Yeah.
Colby probably won't, but I think he could. D, nah. Emily, nah. Genevieve, no. Maybe Mike White. I'm skipping past Jonathan Young, Camilla, and Joe because come on. Rick, maybe. Like I don't know. I'm waiting for people to speak to me as like they could win, and I'm not getting much from many.
Yeah.
And one of the few people I'm getting it from is Saray.
Okay. I mean, this they could just say, "I want Sari to win Survivor." They could do that. They could do that.
And
Um,
you know what? The rest of the cast and the jury could also say that too.
I think. Look, I'll say this: going into the season, my answer was Christian. In my heart of hearts, it's still Christian because I just think he's so smart and he's
Mm-hmm.
got sauce. He's got JT levels of sauce. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but my actual answer is going to be Camilla because I think now that Kyle's gone, whatever target she had is completely gone now. Like because because they don't know that she was close with Joe. That's something that they know that they're probably kind of close, but like
Joe said,
apparently,
didn't Joe say in front of the whole game that Camilla and Kyle pulled pants down in front of them?
yeah. But the thing is, I mean, Camilla was saying in her pregame interviews for this stuff that
Mm-hmm.
she was hiding intentionally in her exit interviews how close that the two of them were and how close their working relationship was. So I
Mm.
mean, if you care about that, I think Joe, especially because it's Joe, would be more than willing to work with her still. But even if
Mm-hmm.
he's not, I mean, Camilla is such an underrated player in the sense of
Mm-hmm.
like she's so smart. She's so good at puzzles and she's done it before. And I said this before when we were talking about her. She's got all the elements. she's got both the we know that she's a cutthroat game player and we want to work with her to get further in the game, while also I know that
Mhm.
she's a loyal ally who will ride for me on the jury or whenever else. So
Yeah.
I think she's got it all. All she needs to do is win fire making, and she'll be good.
I agree with you, but I'm changing my exact answer because looking through everybody, it's Mike White. Mike White's ending this season. That's it, hands down. I
I
feel
mean,
he's who I feel the best about here.
he's already
It,
surged past expectations with his bulging six pack. So I mean, like crazier
the
things have happened for
the
sure.
the jacked Mike White win is gonna be it's we're gonna I don't know how we're gonna celebrate it, but there's gonna be celebrations like none I've ever seen.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see if that happens. I mean, it's very possible. Anything can happen on Survivor 50. So I gotta ask you, Sunder. Anything else? Any final thoughts?
Yeah. Eat more soup, everybody. Not actually. I've been walking to and from work by a creek a lot.
Yeah,
I'm really connected with ducks now. This is an important thing to know about me now as a person. I'm a duck guy. Um,
good to know.
ducks, me, I've been talking to them. If they're up on the pathway by the time I'm walking by, I'll quack at them, I'll talk to them, I'll kind of get them off the path because I don't like them shitting all over it that much.
Okay.
There's a guy who feeds them up there. So like he feeds them up at the top so they come up so he doesn't have to obviously put himself in the risk because he's old. I've
Okay.
met him, great guy. And if he had to go down that steep hill, he might not make it back up. And
All
so
right.
the ducks got to come up, but that means they're up there and they're shitting and they're eating up there. So I'm like, I want to walk to work. I don't want to have to worry about like stepping in duck crap right now.
Okay.
Um, so that was the fun of it all.
And
Uh,
that's your experience watching Survivor 50?
you asked what else? You didn't say what else about Survivor.
That is true. I didn't say that. Um, I don't have anything else. I'm just really excited for this season, and I do hope. I know Jeff said
Yeah,
something about like we'll do more returnee seasons in the future. Dog, I'm telling you, give me another one immediately. I'll be good with it. I'll be
yeah.
fine with it.
I think if he literally just gives us like new era all stars at like 54, 55,
Do
I'm
it.
in. I'm in.
Yep.
That's like the perfect time for it. Because now also you've had some of these people who've given them like you can just say, okay, all the legends people, all the fifth in the hand of the fans people are out.
Yeah.
And then you go, hey Carolyn, you want to come back for real now? And then she
Yeah.
goes, oh my god, yes. And then you have to Jesse in there, and it's like, okay, we still have sauce left for
Yeah. Yeah. There's sauce in the
newer
pan
all
for
stars.
sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you, Sunder, so much for joining this long podcast. If you stayed towards the end, you are my favorite person of all time, and I love you and I kiss you. Mwah. But thanks everybody, and we will definitely do more of these podcasts in the future. So bye bye everybody. Have a good one.